Hey, good morning, everyone. We are live, we are streaming. Ms. Matias, you may proceed with the public executive session.
Good morning. This is the New York City Board of Standards and Appeals Review Session for March 10th, 2025. Please be reminded that there is no public testimony during the review session. I hear an echo. The
It's
first items are postponements. Item number one. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, please, for the record that Commissioner Sheta is joining us remote. Item number one, postponement 764-56BZ 200-05 Horace Harding Expressway, Queens. Item number two, 2024-50BZ 23815 149th Avenue, Queens. Decision items 416-87BZ 547-551 West 133rd Street, Manhattan.
Okay, we received a letter from the applicant with an update that as you know, the site has two tenants, and the tenant upstairs recently entered into a contract with an architect to address all the objections that the fire department had. The letter did not specify the length of time it would be needed to resolve. I have concern about this application because back in February of 2024, board had held the initial hearing, and at that time, we had closed it with the condition, with the record open that the applicant will work with their client and resolve all the fire department violations, and fire department was okay with that. But since then, three deferrals have been requested and were granted by board. This is the fourth one. And I'll take the responsibility because of an oversight on my part for failing to notify the applicant and the property owner about the dismissal warning after the third deferral. I'm going to reopen this and schedule it for a hearing sometime in June. And at this hearing, the applicant has to provide an update for both the uses. And in the meantime, I want our counsel to send a dismissal warning letter to the applicant and to the property owner. So with that, motion to reopen.
Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shabeta,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Yoon.
I wanted to say one thing. I on the reopening, but I realized that also in the compliance chart that was submitted in 2024, April of 2024, they are also asking for a change, a very slight change to the hours of operation. So when we reopen, we should also make sure that we cover that because it's not very clearly stated in the statement of facts.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, item number four, 154-90BZ 730 Avenue West, Brooklyn.
Just give me a second. So I think everything is nicely wrapped up on this. So I'm going to read out the SECRA conditions, and I'm going to make a motion to approve with additional conditions. So the SECRA conditions are HVAC types shall comply with applicable laws and regulations as determined by DOB and other relevant agencies. And this is since this is an enlargement, it's really the HVAC. The existing is natural gas, so whatever they're going to do, the new enlargement and use, it needs to be HVAC type that needs to comply with the requirements. Unless even the existing one requires it, that's a DOB call. Then in addition to that, I want to make a motion with the following conditions: that there shall be no commercial catering on the site. Proposed modification to the building shall comply with ADA requirements. Windows at the eastern lot line shall be inoperable and opaque. All operable windows shall have a minimum STC rating of 28. All site lighting shall be directed down and away from residences. No rooftop access other than emergency and maintenance, except for holidays of circuit, shall be permitted. There shall be no sound attenuation, there shall be no sound amplification and additional lighting on the roof other than emergency lights. A 6-foot tall guardrail with a B50 series sound block acoustic fence panel by fence screen or equal of an STC rating of 28 minimum, that is UV resistant, 1/8 inch thick, shall be installed as shown on the BSA approved plan. And the FDA access path that is shown on the roof plan shall be compliant with the Fire Code 504.4.4 and shall be painted yellow and kept free and clear. And sprinklers and fire alarms shall be installed in the building with the fire alarm to be connected to a central station. Those are,
I think you meant FDNY.
oh,
Special access path shown on the roof.
right. I meant FDNY. What did I say?
I think you said FDA.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, FDNY.
Yeah.
No planes can land here. Okay. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, motion to grant.
Chair Shonda,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shabeta,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Yoon.
Aye.
Application has been granted. 8915 BZ, 92 Walworth Street, Brooklyn.
Commissioner Yoon, were you satisfied with the submission?
Yes.
So with the revised plan, the building height has been modified slightly. It reduces a little bit. So make a motion to approve with all applicable prior board conditions.
Do we ever receive anything from the community board? I know that we reached out a number of times.
Actually, no, we do not have a recommendation from the community board on this. We,
I think our case planner reached out. multiple
Yes.
times.
yes, okay, thank you. Noted. So as, you want to repeat what you stated?
The staff and case manager has made multiple attempts to reach out to the community board to receive a community board testimony or hearing. They have not heard anything back. So at this point, after multiple attempts and several months have passed, I think we should proceed without the testimony of the community board.
Okay, thank you. So if everybody's okay, then I want to make a motion to approve with applicable prior board conditions. And the prior board conditions that specifically should be part of this are that balconies or window cages projecting onto the street shall not be permitted. No sleeping or cooking shall be permitted in the cellar. Cellar shall only be used as accessory to the dwelling units above. And upon completion of the project, a professional engineer certified remedial closure report shall be submitted to DEP for review and approval.
Chair Shonda,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shabeta,
All right.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Yoon.
Aye.
Application has been granted. Item number 6, 2024-21 BZ 20425 Rockaway Point Boulevard, Queens.
Okay, we did receive the revised set of plans and also note regarding Appendix G. Commissioner Yoon, were you, did your questions get responded to?
I don't think I had any last time.
Oh, okay, all right. All right, is everybody okay with the submission? Then I want to make a motion. But before I go into the approval with condition, I just want to read out the SECRA conditions. The SECRA conditions are that HVAC type shall comply with applicable laws and regulations as determined by DOB and other relevant agencies. The proposed project shall use electricity to power HVAC system. So with that, the additional conditions for our approval is that the board's approval of the instant plan does not constitute any waiver of any flood regulations that may apply to the site. The applicant must comply with all applicable flood regulations, including Article 6, Chapter 4 of zoning resolution and Appendix G of the building code as reviewed and approved by the buildings department.
Chair?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for mentioning the condition about Appendix G. I just want to note that the note on the plans is not the BSA standard note. It's not the most updated one, but the existing one is fine since this is not a residential use. So you don't need to modify it, but I just wanted to raise this to explain why I took this rather than asking them to modify the language per our standard language. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
okay, so we bring it out. Chair Shonda,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shabeta, Commissioner Otley Brown, Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Yoon.
Aye.
Application has been granted. Special order calendar, SOC special order calendar, continued hearing items. 32853 BZ, 3424 East Tremont Avenue, the Bronx.
Okay, subsequent to our last hearing that was held in December, the board had directed the applicant to discontinue the U-Haul operation from the site. To that end, the applicant has submitted an affidavit from the dealer stating, affirming that the U-Haul operation has been discontinued. At the last hearing, a question was raised regarding proof of continuous use. It is my understanding that amendments to prior board conditions do not need to provide a proof of continuous use. So I'm satisfied with that. And let me move on to you all. Vice Chair Shibata.
All right, thank you, Chair. I'm satisfied with this application.
Okay. Commissioner Otley Brown.
So I made a site visit to this site on Saturday, and I actually saw a couple of U-Haul trucks, one parked on site and one on the street right in front of the site. And I also saw on the, I think it's the southeastern lot line, a line of mini trucks parked there. And so my question is, are you allowing commercial truck parking on your site? And also, what is the situation with the two remaining U-Haul trucks? Were they just left over and they haven't been transferred back to U-Haul headquarters? Or is there still some rentals going on?
Okay. All right. Upon receiving the affidavit, I don't know how this works, at least on the U-Haul site. I couldn't locate the site, but I think your question is well taken. Do you have photo? Did you take photos?
I do. I have
Okay.
photos.
So if you could submit it, so that the applicant can look at it, and specifically with regards to the U-Haul trucks and the other commercial trucks that you said you saw.
Mhm.
So applicant should look at that and be prepared to respond. Commissioner Sheta.
Thank you, Chair. I have nothing further to add.
Okay. Commissioner Yoon.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay.
Item number 8, 16008 BZ, 651, 671 Fountain Avenue.
Okay. So applicant made a couple of submissions since the last hearing. We have a revised set of plans, and I want to thank the applicant for responding to all the comments that were made, including adding signage within the site to keep the noise level to a minimum. Floor area of the vehicle maintenance structure has been revised, and also the landscaping plan has been modified. Additional landscaping area has been provided, and also the more dimensions have been provided in the plan. So also a letter was provided by the landscape architect, and based on this letter, it seems the landscaping shall be installed by the owner operator, including a well-drained soil to support a healthy growth and proper irrigation for long-term viability. So I just want to make sure as we go forward that all of the installation of landscaping and the drainage is going to be done by the owner operator and not by the tenant. Tenant will be responsible for maintaining it. With regards to noise, a response letter from the environmental consultant regarding the proposed noise attenuation measure has been provided. The representative states that the proposed SPC rating of 30 will provide sufficient and appropriate noise mitigation. The hours of operations finally has been revised to reflect the proposed that the proposed hours of operation for vehicular parking and vehicular maintenance is going to remain same as previously approved board condition, which was Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7:15 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. This is for vehicular parking. And for the vehicular maintenance, it would be limited to only Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. I just noticed that the statement of fact has been revised, but the tech memo was not. So that needs to be updated. Is there any?
I think they might have updated the tech. Let me just check. I believe they updated it.
Okay, wonderful, great. And is there any update on the SECRA part?
They did resubmit with the new requested analysis, yes.
What, I didn't hear the last part.
They submitted a revised tech memo with the requested analysis. New
Okay,
assessment.
okay. Good. We also received with this submission a letter from Jardine. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Jardine iOS, in short from GEOS, who will be the contract vendee should this post this approval, BSA approval. Now, according to this letter, GEOS will be managing the site and will sign in tenants operating at the site within 1 year from the acquisition. Now, according to the letter, operation of the site will be tenants' responsibility, who will be expected to have 2 to 3 employees on the site during operating hours to manage the site, as well as the commercial vehicle operation. In addition to that, there will be security camera on site for GEOS's 24/7 monitoring through security footage, and based on the need, they will activate a management team to respond to issues. I would suggest that, and I'm still struggling with it in terms of the fact that the site will remain under the ownership of the current owner, who will, and then there will be an agreement between GEOS and the current owner. And GEOS will be the contract vendee. And it would be contract vendee who will enter into a lease agreement with tenants who will be responsible for maintaining it. So there are 3 basically involved entities on this. And I just want to make sure, like, we don't know whether the GEOS deal will go through or not, and after that, whoever. So given that this project has been with us for a long time, what I would recommend that should we go forward to approve this, we make sure that maybe they will sign a deal with GEOS today, but tomorrow the deal may fall apart. Maybe there'll be another. But there's a clear guidance that is provided from the BSA in terms of who is responsible all along the way for all the various elements to maintain this site, operate this site, and who all will be liable. In my opinion, all 3 entities should be liable. Because should one fall apart, should the contract vendee not be there, it should be the responsibility of the property owner, who then will have the right to vacate the tenant. Should the tenant not be responsible, it's the contract vendee who should be responsible. So keeping that in mind as to who will be responsible for this site, this is what I am suggesting. Since the daily maintenance of the site will be the obligation of the tenants primarily, the signs posted on both gates should include the contact information of the property owner, Geo's maintenance staff, as well as tenants. All parties owning, operating, and managing the site are liable, and the board needs to ensure that the site is maintained, including landscaping, per approved plan and conditions. Lease should also be required of the lease that is going to be signed between Geo's, the contract vendee, with the tenant, with its tenant, should also require that the tenant shall maintain the landscaping. If not, then the operator and the owner also shall be responsible if the operator fails. We should have an operational plan and impose the operational limit. The operational limit will be the limit on the number of truck vehicles and employee vehicles and number of daily trips. Both should be included in the lease. Any change in owner, operator, or use shall require prior approval from the board. And prior to building the acoustical wall, applicants shall submit plans to DOB for review and approval, and DOB shall ensure that the wall is structurally safe and sound and compliant with all applicable regulations, and under no circumstances it shall be professionally certified. No use or occupancy of the site shall be permitted prior to obtaining a final certificate of occupancy, and the CO shall be obtained within 18 months from the issuance of this resolution. In addition to all of these, I strongly believe a restrictive deck has to be issued and recorded prior to the issuance of the BSA resolution. So, and we can also think of putting a limit on the term.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, may I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that Mr. Dale is listening. He said JD will be the owner upon grant, side of the sale is pending grant. He's not a contract vendee.
I would,
So
yeah,
I think when you come to the hearing, you will explain that.
I want to say he did, and Ms. Krieger also did say this at 2 hearings ago, that the sale, there's a contract for sale with the current owner. JD is proposing to buy it. They're in contract. It's contingent on this approval. And they said that they would schedule a closing after the 30-day period of the resolution. So the
In that
current
case-
owner would no longer be involved.
JD would be, so, but then this, all of this condition then lies between the Geos and their prospective tenants.
Yes.
Users, yeah.
So that takes one player out, but then Geo still remains alive. And again, we are assuming that that would happen. This is what the word, but we need to make.
It has not
sure-
happened yet.
Right. So we need to really keep that in mind when we are looking at this, that should this fail, should whoever come in, these are the conditions based on which a person will enter into an agreement to purchase the site and operate the site. Because there've just been too many gaps in this, in prior use, and I just don't want that to happen and make this become another failure. Okay. Vice Chair Shibata.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to note that the link that they attached for the tough barrier, sound barrier wall wasn't active. So if they could update that link so we can get they suggested that there was more information available on the particular wall that they were using.
Okay,
Nothing further.
okay. Thank you. Commissioner Otley Brown.
I'm satisfied with the site plan that they provided to us. However, to me, the biggest issue is whether they'll actually go through with the improvements that they committed to. So I agree with you, Chair, that there needs to be belts and suspenders kind of pushing the applicant and new owner along so that they complete the improvements in a timely manner.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Sheta?
Thank you, Chair. I totally in support of your comments and I would say conditions in case we grant something on this case. The only comment I have is it's a kind of a housekeeping on drawing A-004.00. If we look at the cross section that's on this drawing, I don't think it's drawn to scale. So I need him to like either say that it's not to scale or just put a break line. I'll explain what is that in momentarily. Yeah, this is the section I'm talking about. Let me move that away.
Okay.
If you look at this is 5 feet and this is 15 feet. Scale wise, if this dimension here or this distance is like twice as this. So this could be 10 or this could be 7.5, but it cannot be 5 and 15. So either put a break line and divide the sections into upper and lower portions, and that works for us, or just right here, not to scale, and you're good. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner,
That's
you.
on the seeker, the sound barrier.
Thank you. I wanted to clarify one comment you made, Chair. No occupancy before final C of O.
Mhm.
And in my experience, DOB permits occupancy with a TCO, and there's a gap usually between obtaining a TCO and an FCO that's often administrative.
Right.
TCOs are granted because life safety, all of the functionality, all of the basically regulatory requirements in order to operate that building safely or occupy that building safely have been achieved.
Right.
So I'm just bringing that up because
I'm fully aware of where you're
okay,
going.
okay, I just wanted to bring it up because.
No, I'm fully aware and I thought about it. And in this case, what had happened was none of the improvements that were asked of were done. Now, and it took a while, partly because it required, in the previous grant, the condition was to provide street planting. And it was a delay on the part of getting other city agencies involved and so meanwhile, while Parks and applicant was working out the ways to put the street improvement, the building, the use wasn't fully operational, but it was not well maintained. And in this case, what is the only thing that is going to require the CO? The CO is going to be the change of use to allow a truck and to have that building there. It is very easy to put together a pave service with the asphalt paving, with the parking and other things. Landscaping may not happen. The fence may not happen. The lot of other things that are critical part of the neighborhood context may not happen because they are not part of the site safety requirement. So for that very reason, I am very, very skeptical about letting it go through that process and not have these basic components be in place when it's occupied. Because if once it's occupied for various reasons, you will not be able to get the landscaping done because there's too much business going on. You may
understand.
not be able to put the wall up because there's business going on.
I understand.
And those are critical component of this approval because it affects the neighborhood character.
I understand. I guess I don't see how we.
We can put that condition because our finding is neighborhood character. And until that neighborhood character has been met and addressed, this site should not be operational. Otherwise, it's going to have an impact. And the TCO, for one, I know can drag on for years.
I would say the landscaping would not be something that triggers whether or not an FCO is delivered or not, though. I don't know that it would achieve the compliance that you're asking for, but I hear what you're saying.
Right. The compliance in this case is that ensuring that the wall is structurally built and is sound and it is safe. And then the fences are put up and the landscaping. If the landscaping is not up, there can be misuse of that space.
I agree.
And-
I'm just
and
saying
there
the
is no-
vehicle for compliance of that, I'm not sure, but I
But the condition
leave it
is
at
that
that.
we don't want to have more than whatever vehicles that they're proposing. How do we control it?
I know.
So.
I've made
I'm-
my point. I think that, I will leave it at that.
Right. I've thought about this and I'm like, how do we try to make sure we continue to exactly the number of vehicles, the type of vehicles,
Right.
and there should be no switch happening like, oh, well, we asked for 18 wheelers, which are how many axles? 6 axles or I don't know how many axles they have. And then, oh, but we are going to change it instead of 1 wheeler, we will
trucks.
have 3 trucks because 222.
You don't need to convince me of that.
No,
I,
I'm just saying for the record,
Yeah.
I'm just saying it for the
Right.
record. Keeping all of this in mind, having 1 wheeler being replaced by 3 trucks, because at the end, you end up having 6 wheelers anyway, but they're actually 3 vehicles, that you're adding more vehicular trips compared to the vehicular trips that is being proposed, which is a reduction of the vehicular trip, and we reviewed it as part of the tech memo. So keeping all of those things in mind, I am just so, I'm so hesitant to let this go through without having everything being in check. That's why.
Yeah, I just want to add in support of the chair that this case is unusual in that not only has it been here before the board recently for over 3 years, but there is a 2-decade history with this case in which there's been repeated notations of non-compliance. And so that's why I believe the chair is being especially particular about the conditions going forward.
Yeah.
and I'm in support of that. I think I'm just trying to understand the effectiveness of these measures and how we can ensure that compliance.
Right.
That's what I'm questioning, because I don't know that
Fair enough.
DOB cares if the landscaping goes into the aesthetic effect that we would like.
I agree.
Those kinds of compliance, like if there are other ways that we can also ensure this and not put too much weight on the FCO.
We could do a compliance hearing. We can schedule a compliance hearing within a few months.
Or a short term. That's another
How
option.
much of a short term? 2 year?
3 years? You figure it takes a few months to get it from being submitted.
And
to
what
maybe-
what assurance do we have that they will not ask for an extension of time to complete TCO? Or extension of time to complete CO?
But at that point, at least we could see what progress they've made towards, like, that would be enough time to have effective.
And we do have a very rich record. That any future board, if we're not around in 3 years, any future board will see our record. I would hope.
I don't know. If someone put one plant and says, hey, I've done it. And then we say, okay, we'll give you another time to put the other plant.
But we're sitting here at this juncture on this case, they can't go through with their contract of sale until we give them this resolution,
And I want to close.
Short
actually,
term
I want
seems
to
like a
give
reasonable.
assurance. The reason I read this out, because I want to close it today. And I think they have made remarkable progress. I want to give credit to the team. They have made a remarkable progress from the time when we started this and where we are today. They have been very responsive to our comments, but I cannot let this one go. This is a highly unusual case and a site with so much tortured issues. And given everything that's going around with all the various market conditions and situations, I just want to be extra careful that anybody who is stepping into this site knows fully well what they're in for, and they have to be fully prepared to vest and maintain the site. Otherwise, it's a no-go.
Well, I would support a short term to that effect. I also have a couple of other comments.
Okay.
The tough barrier sound barrier wall, which I did not use their link, but I looked it up and it does seem like a much better product than the Trex that was previously. One is anyway, it looks much better. I believe it's a company that also manufactures highway noise barriers, which are often built to much taller heights and intended for this kind of longer span, structural stability and effectiveness at blocking out sound. So I think it's a better product. So I appreciate that. I did have a criticism of the landscaping plan. the chair very specifically asked for dense planting at all of the non-parking areas. And I think that I'm just going to share it so everyone's looking at the same thing.
We tried.
Okay, yeah. So we have these two types of hollies that they're shrubs. They don't grow super big. You have a 2 to 3 foot spread. And they're suggested to be at 4 feet on center. And what you have here is 6 hollies across 50 feet. You should have you should have shrubs at every 4 feet on center. The whole point is that this is supposed to look dense and landscaped, and this is just going to look sparse and probably not the effect that we were hoping for. So please revise the landscaping plan. We want dense landscaping, and this is not it.
Okay.
Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm in full support of what you indicated, that no operation should be allowed on this particular site before the elements that satisfy the compliance with the character of the neighborhood are achieved. We don't want to repeat what happened before on this case. I believe we got enough headache of this application, and putting a condition like that. I would even say not just put it in the resolution. I would ask the applicant to put a note on the drawings to the DOB to make it easier for them to catch it. No operation should be allowed on this particular site before such and such are completed, period. And I believe these such and such starts first with the fence and the landscaping, and
I'm hearing. I really appreciate everybody's thoughtful input into this. So let's say if we allowed a TCO, would we, I still think if that's the case, we do a shorter term, 4 years, and also ask for a restrictive deck. The restricted deck goes with the land, and it is a responsibility of not just the tenant, of the property owner also, who it will be, to make sure that they meet all and there we can spell out the requirements that needs to be done. Is that a possibility?
I think also to Commissioner Shetta's point, if we can, I do think DOB is the arbiter of when a site is occupiable. So if we want to condition the occupancy, I think it has to be upon TCO, not on FCO. I don't think they should get a TCO until they meet certain conditions.
Yeah.
As Commissioner Shetta is also suggesting. So I think the reliance on an FCO doesn't help us. So if we want to condition the occupancy, we should make them conditions on the TCO.
So you're saying, in order to secure a TCO, landscaping, the wall and fence all have to be in place?
Basically, yes.
and we can explain it to DOB that these elements are vital to our grant. Without these elements, our grant is voided, period.
I think that would be more.
We don't want to give him a grant and then they go work for 10 years, operate this site for 10 years, and then we stuck with it again.
Okay. Okay.
Would it be possible for them to get a partial TCO? And is there a way that we could control against that? That's my question.
I know TCOs are granted 6 months and extended all the time.
Right, and I
don't
do
know.
know, like, for instance, for some buildings, you'll get a partial TCO
yeah,
for
yeah.
the portion that's completed
Yeah.
with the idea that the rest will get its TCO when it's done, which allows them to operate. Is that something that could possibly happen here? Because we wouldn't want that to happen where they get a partial TCO.
Building.
Yeah, on the
not
build,
rest of the site.
yeah, not on the rest of
No,
the
that's a very
site.
good
We
point.
wouldn't want that.
We should look into that. If we can require that the whole site is granted a TCO at the same time.
Right.
Based on these conditions.
Right.
Okay, thank you. This was very helpful. And I know the applicant is listening in, so I'm sure they're going to give their suggestions, but these are the two choices. Okay, Thank you.
Move on.
Yes.
Item number 9, 6213 BZ, 2703 East Tremont Avenue, the Bronx.
Okay, this is the Wendy's. So in this case, the applicant is proposing to proceed with a 5-year extension of term under the previous grant, zoning resolution section 73-243. The outstanding element from the previous hearing was needing the update of the plan, which is revising the reservoir space space to 10, which has been done. They're providing 10 required reservoir spaces. And they have added the missing, well, physically, they have not added the missing plants as per the approved landscape plan. But the weather is not right. I hope once the weather gets better, they will fill in the missing plants. And the applicant confirmed the legality of the pylon sign. I'm not sure I fully get it, but I think the best way to go about it is that that as part of the sign analysis form, which also I have some concern about, it factors in the pylon sign and make sure all the signage on the site is complying with the sign regulations. With regards to the sign analysis, the chart is not clear. First of all, it needs to be per street frontages. This site has 3 street frontages, and the pylon sign is facing 1 street, and there are 2 Wendy's sign facing 2 other streets. The sign chart needs to be done per street frontage. And based on the plan provided, there is a sign that is facing East Tremont, which is the south elevation, and a sign facing Raymond, which is the west elevation. And the total, at least as per the sign chart, it seems to be the total surface area for both of these 2 signs, not counting the pylon sign, is 113 square foot, of what 64 square foot is illuminated. So I think overall because if it is per street frontage, it would be 150 square foot total for each street frontage, with a 50 square foot each for signage, for illuminated sign. I think the overall the total would be less, but this is what really the board is making sure, that at no point each frontage exceeds 150 square foot of total surface area, of which 50 square foot of illuminated sign. That's really what the board is making sure. But and again, this analysis did not count the pylon sign, and that needs to be counted. And if that is also per frontage requirement, it is also 150 square foot for that street frontage with a 50 square foot illuminated, I think it would meet. So the applicant just needs to go back and look at this and confirm. But in the meantime, a note should be added to the plan saying that the signage shall comply with the underlying regulation. BSA is not waiving the signage requirement, and it is for DOB to review and ensure compliance. We did receive the revised zoning set and a separate approved lumen plan and sign analysis chart. Now, the lumen analysis chart, the analysis plan, must be based on what is existing, not what was approved, because lumen plan will be part of the approved plan set. We cannot send the approved plan set part of this approved plan set. So the purpose of asking a lumen plan is to make sure that the existing current lumen condition is not in excess of the approved plan, and that it is not resulting in lumen spread that is affecting the neighborhoods. I do have to say, given the surrounding land use, I don't think the lumen spread will be an issue. though a note should be added to the site plan stating that the lights shall be pointed away from adjacent residential uses and appropriate measures shall be taken, including shielding to minimize lumen spread. And that can be part of the site plan. We don't need to include the approved lumen spread plan because I don't know if the applicant can put together lumen analysis based on the current condition. If they cannot, given the site condition, I'm okay with not having the lumen spread plan, but the note should be added
Okay,
because it's surrounded by commercial use and streets. The residential uses are across the streets. So those are my comments. Vice Chair Shibata.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with your comment with regard to the lumen spread. I do want to make a short note that with regard to landscaping, the applicant did submit a letter from the architect stating that he doesn't believe the property can withstand any additional landscaping and that no new plants would survive because of the shade of the others.
Well, what the board asked was the plan had, I don't know, I'm guessing 5 little shrubs. And the existing condition has 2 shrubs. So all the board was asking was fill in those voids with the shrubs. Now, does it have to be the specific shrub type if it is not shade resistant? No, if it can be switched with a shade tolerant shrub, then use that.
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with you, Chair, about the landscaping. I did visit the site over the weekend and the existing landscaping has actually been trimmed and taken care of. So it looks healthy for the most part, but there are still big gaps where you just have dirt. And if you just have the dirt sitting there, eventually you're going to also have the litter and all sorts of mistreatment of the site that follows because it'll look like there's a lack of care. So I agree with you that they should fill it in with shade resistant landscaping. And other sites do it. Other sites that have trees do it. So I don't understand why they can't do it. It's just investing a little more time and creativity in your planning, and you can achieve a beautiful result.
We're not asking them to add any more than what's shown on the plan. It's just kind of keeping with the theme of the plan, just fill in the gaps, that's all. Thank you. Thank you for doing the site visit. That's helpful. Commissioner Shetta?
Thank you, Chair. I had the same comment regarding the architect's letter and sorry. And yeah, if they insist on their position that because they are saying that the layout and the natural growth of the applicant's landscape is not unable to accommodate any additional shrubs on the premises. If this is what they are saying, they can argue that before us. What are the bases for this? We've seen tons of sites with shrubs at distances much less than what is shown in the picture they submitted. So I'm not sure where from they are coming. So they need to clarify that before us. Thank you.
Commissioner Yoon?
Thank you. I agree on the signage analysis per frontage. It does seem like you would probably comply. It looks like the pylon, they showed the calculation of area. And so it does seem like they could be in compliance with the signage, but it's difficult to ascertain that with what's been submitted. So we need a signage analysis per frontage, as the chair said, but we also need the signage shown on the elevations with the areas associated with them. And if the applicant needs a sample of that, then the project manager can send it, but it's helpful to see the sign areas shown on the drawings so that we can tally it all up and match that up to the updated signage analysis.
I used a very crude method of taking a yellow sticky and measuring it using a base point and what the signage would be. It seemed like they were well within it, but
Yeah, just to show it.
yeah, just show it. Yeah. I took the 5-foot dimension and just kind of played it up and to see what's really the total square footage. It's just a very basic thing. Nothing, you don't need to hire a surveyor to measure it exactly. You can use the drawings and work off it. Actually, the best is to use the photos and use a frame of reference and then measure off it. Okay.
Move on.
Yes, please.
New cases, item number 10, 53232 BZ 3102 Astoria Boulevard, Queens.
Okay, we received proof of initial filing and hearing notices. I did not see a community board recommendation on this. This is an application for an amendment to enlarge a previously approved gasoline service station that was permitted to enlarge back in 1933. This is a highly irregular corner lot with a lot area of about 9,000 square foot. But the statement of facts says 5,299 square foot, and there's another section in the statement of fact, it says 4,778 square foot. So please make it consistent across all the document. I don't think it is 9,155 square foot. I think it's less than 6,000 square feet. So please do go back and verify what is the actual lot area of this site. Now, the applicant also states that there are existing curb cuts. And when I was looking at the 1994 approved plan curb cut widths, they were different from what the existing condition is. So I want the applicant to confirm if the approved plan, that approved plan of 1994, the curb cuts, are they existing or it is different from what the current condition is? And I'm assuming, I mean, the statement was not clear, but based on the plan set that we have on file from 1994 and what is existing, I'm assuming the 1994 reduction of floor area was not implemented. So if the applicant can clarify that. So the applicant is proposing to amend the previous approval by reducing the size of the accessory building, convert the portion of it into a convenience store, and replace 2 MPDs with 3 new MPDs and provide a canopy. So it would be, there would be a reduction of about 332 square foot, which would reduce the total building square footage to 2,400 and about 40 square foot. And the applicant is also proposing to reduce the width of the curb cuts, both along Astoria Boulevard and on 31st Street. And is proposing, in addition to that, 4 parking spaces, including 1 ADA parking space. I was not able to find 4 parking spaces on the site plan. If the applicant can indicate that, that would be helpful, because I was only able to account for 3, including the ADA parking space. I would say right off the bat that the layout of the site does not work with 3 MPDs. It's a very small site, and it is also irregular sites, made even more irregular with the L-shaped existing building. There are too many activities that is being proposed for a 5,000 square foot site. Circulation on this site as it is very tight. In its current layout, I do see vehicles that are parked on the sidewalks. Addition of an MPD would make it even more challenging. Vehicular circulation will make it impossible, and it will not be possible for vehicles to park on the proposed parking spaces. As you can see from the maneuverability plan, vehicles will be going right through these parking spaces to get to the MPD tanks. In addition to that, the turning radius on the northeast side to exit the to Astoria Boulevard is impossible. First of all, because the vehicle dimension that is used for maneuverability needs to be revised to consider an SUV, which are wider than a sedan that has been used for analysis. And once you use SUV, I do not think you can make that clearance without hitting the wall. The proposed layout will result in a backup of vehicles on 31st Street and block the sidewalk. There is no pass-by lane. So what I have noticed is that even the vehicles that are waiting in the queuing in the gas line, they would oftentimes just bypass the other vehicle that is queuing the gas line. And what that means when you're bypassing it, you're actually using the sidewalk to bypass to go from 31st to Astoria. And 31st, specifically at this location, 31st Street has a dedicated right turn lane to go to Grand Central Parkway. And any backup on the service within the site will cause a backup on 31st Street. And also the sidewalk is very well utilized. There's a numbers N-train subway line just one block to the north. So there are enough pedestrians that are moving around in this area. So I am not convinced that the proposed layout will improve the existing condition. And if the applicant wants to proceed with this, they have to do a much more thorough traffic analysis that needs to be provided to justify why a 3 MPP will not be a hindrance. Are you okay?
Bug, it was a bug.
Ah, you killed a bug.
Phew.
Will not,
Particularly serious?
no, these bugs are annoying. I understand. Will not create any backup to 31st Street, will not cause any traffic delays, and will not cause any pedestrian conflict on 31st and on Astoria Boulevard. So the applicant needs to do a thorough traffic analysis if they want to propose a 3 MPD. As I said, I think even 2 MPDs is a stretch here, but you know, and with an improved site plan, maybe it can work better with 2 MPDs. With regards to zoning resolution 11412, prior to December 15, 1961, per 1958 resolution description, lot frontage was 89 foot wide along 31st Street and 59 foot wide along Astoria. And there is no mention on the size of the zoning lot on the or the building floor area in these resolutions. So looking at the lot frontages, there has not been any significant change to the lot frontages as existing. So I think one aspect of 11412 is met. At the same time, 11412 states that the enlargement of the building can't be in excess of 50% of the floor area as of December 15, 1961. As I said, it seems the 1995 approval to reduce the building footprint never took into effect. So the building that we see is still the building from the 1950s. So, and the applicant should confirm that. So I think based on that, it would meet the 11-412. So applicant did provide a TPPN analysis, and the applicant needs to revise the analysis based on the correct lot area, because lot area varies, as I said, in the resolution, and that would affect the 25%. Regarding the hours of operation, the proposed hours of operations are, I don't know what the existing hours of operation, I may have missed it. It may have been stated in the resolution, so the applicant can clarify. But the proposed hours of operation is for the gas station and the convenience store, it would be a 24/7 operation. And for the auto repair, it would be 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Mondays through Friday, and 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. And the air pump will be operating also 7 days of the week, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. I would again, given the tightness of the site, I do not know where the air pump is located and how the air pump would work. in light of the tight maneuverability plan. So that was not clear from the plan either. Regarding the signage, applicant needs to revise the statement regarding the signage on page 10. Specifically, the last line on the paragraph, it states, I think it says, paragraph 2, it says Astoria Boulevard. I think it should be the other way around. So need to clarify that. Curb cut width and the location of the curb cuts are contrary to the 1994 plan. So the applicant needs to correct the compliance chart regarding the 1993 curb cut width. Now, per prior grant, a 7-foot 6-inch high brick or terracotta wall was required in the interior portion of the lot line. I was only able to see a very small portion of it, so I want the applicant to confirm the existence of the wall and its condition, and also indicated on the plan. So far, there seems to be no violation on this. Vice Chair Shibata.
Thank you, Chair. I do agree with this being a small site, and 3 MPD seems to be too much for the site, especially considering that in the submitted photos as well as Google Images, the site use has already been overflowing into the sidewalk with cars parked around pretty much throughout the years haphazardly around the site as well as onto the sidewalk. With regard to your comment on the air pump, I know where it currently is. Are you suggesting that they're moving the air pump?
It wasn't clear from the plan.
Yeah, it's not shown on the new plan.
Of
Well-
where the air pump will be, and given that as it is, the exit 3 vehicular parking spaces that are indicated, typically the air pumps are located next to these vehicular parking spaces. Now, if these vehicular parking spaces, according to the maneuverability plan, will be part of the maneuverability, where will the air pump be located and will serve the car, short of it being on the sidewalk? So that's why I want the clarification.
Nothing further from me.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Otley Brown?
I agree with both of you that this is a very cramped site. And actually, I also was confused about the actual lot area, because between page 1 and page 8 of the statement, you go from 4,778 square feet to 5,299 square feet. So they need to definitely reconcile all their paperwork with 1 lot square footage. I agree with you that the maneuverability plan is problematic because it does show cars and truck paths going right through a couple of the parking spots. They say there are 4 parking spots, but there are only 3, and 2 of them really aren't usable, basically. I did do a site visit and I noticed that there is merchandise for sale because it is such a cramped site and they're trying to do so much. They actually have merchandise for sale on the Pump Islands. And they also have items that they're probably going to discard at some point, just sitting against the back wall.
Oh, yes, I saw a
You know,
lot of the
chairs,
clothes.
Chairs and all sorts
All
of
the
things
bins,
just stacked
yeah,
up,
yeah,
like
yeah.
they want to throw them out. So they should definitely eliminate all of those things.
Regardless of whether we go through a 3 pump or not.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, Commissioner Sheta, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I agree what's being said. I do not repeat it. The only thing I would add is regarding the lighting. If you look at the lighting spread, there are 2 spots where the reported values for the luminous spread exceeds 2. Actually, they are about 4. So they need to look into that, see if they are coming from a lighting that's close by and nearby. They need to shield it. Also, they need to show the lighting units and their models, their specifications on the luminous spread diagram. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Yoon?
Thank you. This was a popular site because I also visited it. I think that makes 3 of us. So from what I could tell, and I think the applicant should clarify this, the last time I saw uses being changed or updated on the site were from the May 1960 resolution, and that includes gas station, laundry, office, sale of accessories, mezzanine for storage of tires, accessories, and auto repairs with hand tools only, and for the additional use in the new extension only, brake repair and lubrication. So when we are reviewing this case, we're looking at a change of use from the repair, the automotive repair, to a convenience store, and then also adding the Tint Max use, which is a window tinting and car wrapping service. So I just wanted to say that on the record, that we should also make sure that that gets included in any future resolution.
Yeah.
The statement of facts, page 8, states that auto repair shops are an as of right use in this zoning district, which is a C43. That's not true. Auto repair shops are only as of right in a C8. So please update that in the statement of facts. It's being converted to a convenience store, so it's actually a reduction in the degree of noncompliance. Is the mezzanine for storage of tires still part of the proposal? I didn't see it on the plans. I just see it referenced in the past resolutions. The applicant notes that the refuse will be stored in an indoor trash room. Currently, it shows it in a dumpster outside, but the amended plan shows this triangular closet where trash will be located. So just show clearly that you can fit the dumpster in that very oddly shaped room. See, there are several new banners and signs, so you've got to update that and get rid of the extra banners. You've got a clothing drop, you have barrels, you have tires outside, all of that, as also Commissioner Otley Brown mentioned, needs to be removed. In the existing condition, there are 2 price signs. In the proposed, they don't show up, so I need confirmation that both of them will be removed. Both of them currently seem to exceed the amount that you're allowed to project over a right of way, and they also seem, there's one, I'll just show them really quick so we all know what we're talking about. You have this one projecting over the right of way. I think you get 18 inches per zoning. And then there's another one. Let me move my controls. These are my pictures, so I will submit these to the record. This price sign here, which is right at along Astoria Boulevard between the Tint Max and the cafe, is also, you need at least 10 feet of height clear according to the building code. So this is also non-compliant, both from a building code perspective and a zoning perspective. So you need to confirm that both of these signs will be removed. And then
It was interesting, the photo that you showed a vehicle parked on the corner.
yeah, I wasn't gonna repeat that, but there were cars parked on the
And
sidewalk.
that's, it's in, when you look at Google Street View, that is like one popular corner.
I mean, it's a pretty active corner, and obviously you have the turn to get onto the highway. So I don't think I have anything further to add.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Next case.
Item 11, 88754 BZ, 21801 Northern Boulevard, Queens.
Okay, proof of initial filing and hearing is not required. This is an extension of time. Application to obtain a CO which expired on March 23, 2023 for an existing gasoline service station located at the subject site. It expired, I think last extension that was granted expired in June 2020. And then there was an extension that was granted in 2022, but extension of time is needed to obtain the CO. Based on the photos provided, the site really seems to be in good condition, and I remember many of the improvements that the board had asked for are in place. So I was very satisfied to see the improvements that's been made. The applicant states the reason for the delay was the lack of communication between BP and the engineering firm who is in charge of obtaining the CO, and therefore CO was not obtained in timely manner. And applicant needs 18 months to obtain the CO. I just want to make sure if there are any other outstanding elements other than just obtaining the CO, and if there are any outstanding violations. Other than that, I have no comments on this. Vice Chair Shibata.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with you that according to the photos, it seems like a clean site. I don't have any objection to this application.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Otley Brown.
I also have no objection.
Thank you. Commissioner Shetta.
Thank you, Chair. Just fix a typo in the statement of facts right before listing the conditions. It describes the drawings, I believe it says 6, and then the number in text, it says 6, and then the number that's between the parentheses, it says 7. So fix that and indicate the lot and block number in the statement of facts of the subject side. And I haven't seen any description for the site, by the way, like dimensions, square footage, nothing like that in the statement. So I'm okay with this absence of information for the site dimensions, but please at least add the block and the lot numbers on the statement. Thank you.
Commissioner?
Yes.
The typo is in which page? Do you know? Can you?
Page 1.
Okay.
Page 1?
I
Okay.
can give me 1 second. I can show it.
No, it's okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Yoon.
Thank you. Yeah, just to second that you should always include the block and lot on your statement of facts at the top of the page. Also, the statement of facts references a special permit, but I believe that this was a variance. So just double check that and amend it if needed. I did a whole tour of gas stations last week, did a bunch of them, and this site was probably the nicest gas station I have ever been to. There are these pine trees that are over 40 feet tall that line the entire rear and side lot lines. It is in excellent condition, so kudos to the property owner and the tenant.
Good, thank you. So some of our,
Can you do this later, guys? Can you do this later, guys?
as long as you cannot be in this location.
Okay.
Okay.
Item number 12, 80855 BZ, 3504 Bell Boulevard, Queens.
Okay. Also, this is an extension of time. A proof of initial filing hearing is not required. The applicant was required to obtain a certificate of occupancy by March 19th of 2024 for an existing gasoline service station that is located at this site. I just was looking at the compliance. Signage seems to be more than that is permitted for a C22 zoning district. On the north and the east side elevation with 2 Dunkin' Donuts signage and a banner. So those are in excess. The lumen, applicant needs to confirm that the lumen level is consistent with the plan. Is the BP operational plan in effect, including camera to monitor the site remotely? That was part of the prior board conditions. Again, similar to the prior case, the applicant stated the reason for the delay is the lack of communication between with BP and engineering firm who is in charge of obtaining the CO, and they need 18 months to obtain the CO. I just again want to make sure if there are any other outstanding elements to obtain the CO. But before obtaining the CO, the applicant needs to make sure that the signage comply and the lumen level is consistent with the approved plan. And also need to confirm if the BP operational plan is in effect. I wasn't sure if there are any outstanding violations, so the applicant should clarify at the hearing. Those are my comments. Chair Shibata.
Thank you, Karen. No comments.
Commissioner Otley Brown.
I have no additional comment.
Thank you. Commissioner Shetta.
Thank you, Chair. Just add the lot and the block number to the statement of facts one more time.
Okay, so this seems to be becoming a pattern. Commissioner Yoon.
Thank you. And also confirm whether this is a variance or a special permit in your statement of facts. It says it's a special permit. I don't know if you said, so I noticed this again on my tour of gas stations. I noticed a couple of them, Dunkin' has proliferated its signage to include signage on light poles. And in this case, they're on, I'm gonna just share the photos that were submitted. But I also went to the site and Duncan's got these signs also that are on the
Oh,
light
yeah.
poles.
Yeah.
It'll come up in another case, but these don't seem to be included anywhere, and I'm not sure
They need to be removed.
that they're permitted. So yeah.
You remove them? Okay.
Yeah. So, can you keep that sign on? So on the wall, behind the banner, on the wall also, there are these Dunkin' Donuts signs in white and, yeah, where you have your arrow pointed. So those are the excess signages that were not accounted in the analysis. So please go back and look through all the signage, and a note should be added to the plan that the site shall comply with underlying signage regulation. BSA is not waiving any signage requirement. DOB shall review and confirm.
Okay, okay. Let's see. Did I have anything else? There's a Lotto banner on the property line wall. You got to remove that or include it in the signage analysis so we can make sure that it falls under the underlying zoning regulations. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 13, 6891 BZ, 22315 Union Turnpike, Queens.
Okay, we received proof of initial filing and hearing notice. Community board has voted to approve with conditions that the southeast corner of the property be improved with planting and beautification, and no parking signs are posted by the air pump. This is an application to amend previously approved variance for an automotive service station with accessory use to add a second floor pursuant to zoning resolution section 11-412 and an extension of a 10-year term pursuant to zoning resolution section 11-411, which expired on March 19, 2022, and a waiver of board's rule. So the applicant is proposing to amend the plan to vertically enlarge the building, add a second floor, that is, and provide office use above. The addition of office use is an as of right use, and so this would add the proposed floor area would increase to 1,816 square feet. The applicant is also proposing a legalization of the emergency generator and a 10-year extension of term. And so just going through the findings of 11-412, the proposed addition of 1,816 square foot, which is less than 50% permitted pursuant to zoning resolution 11-412. So that would, the extension should be, enlargement should be fine. The applicant represents that the size of the building has not changed since July of 1950, when the board had approved this enlargement. Based on the previously approved site plan, I did not see any change, so I'm okay with that. The applicant also provided proof of continuous use using cyclomedia photo from May of from 2021 to 2024. So I was satisfied with that. With regards to compliance, site photos provided of the existing conditions to match to address the to match the compliance. While the site seems to be well maintained, I did notice some out of place material. For example, on photo 38, it shows a lift structure that is located on the parking lot. No outdoor repair work is permitted, and this structure must be dismantled and removed from the site from prior to board's vote. I think it should be prior to board's next hearing. Existing plans and interior site photos do not match, especially along the rear lot line where there are different types of trailer. When I went to the site, I didn't see I didn't go all the way to the back, but from what I could see from the street side, there were a lot of these little tool sheds that were located. But I didn't see any trailers. So the applicant, please do go through the site and ensure what stays, what goes. And these trailers seem to be located very close to the HVAC system. So I just want to make sure that there's adequate clearance that is required between these structures for emergency pathways. Applicant represents that 14 parking spaces would be required, 1 per 300 for convenience store, selling area, auto repair, and office use. 5 will be required for the convenience store and 3 for auto repair and 6 for the office use. That's the breakdown. Now, per prior approved plan, it seems 10 spaces were assigned for vehicles awaiting repair. Now, per proposed plan, 9 spaces would be allocated for vehicles awaiting repair and 3 for proposed office. So I also want to know if there is also a requirement for accessory convenience stores. So I don't know where that parking would be provided. So I want the applicant to ensure that the parking requirement will be met for the existing and the proposed use. So that wasn't clear from the submission or from the plan. The proposed office use hours of operation will be Mondays through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. No change to all the other hours of operation. A lumen study was provided. I do have question regarding the lumen study, especially by the lamppost, the reading by the lamppost located at the lot line along Union Turnpike and along Springfield Boulevard. The lumen level is 0 all around it. So I want to make sure if that is correct, which shouldn't be the case. I mean, I don't recall seeing a shield on it. So it should be at least some number. It cannot be 0. So similarly, the lumen level is 0 in the areas where vehicles are awaiting repair and for office. So there seems to be miscalculation. So please do look into that. With regards to the signage, the revised chart for so with regards to the signage, 76 square foot of total surface area is proposed for along the Springfield Boulevard. Of that, 40 square foot will be illuminated or is illuminated, I'm sorry. So I want the applicant to revise the Springfield Boulevard the frontage analysis, because the Springfield Boulevard frontage on drawing BSA 11 seems to have a different set of total surface area for signage and for non-illuminated. So that needs to be corrected. There is excess banner, and the total signage, I therefore believe, possibly exceeds the permitted. Regarding the coin-operated washing machine, wash machine, prior board did not allow that. So the applicant is proposing a vacuum and an air pump that would be located along the frontage of Union Turnpike, and the proposed hours of operation would be 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. On Sunday. 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. So I think what the applicant is requesting would be an amendment to the prior grant. I was okay with it because the location of the vacuum and the air pump is at the street, nearest to the street entrance, and the residential building that is located along this lot line is set back quite a bit from this entrance location. With regards to the trash enclosure, currently it's a chain link fence with opaque slats. Since the applicant is proposing to add a second floor, this would be a good time to change the fence, chain link fence for a trash enclosure to a masonry construction trash enclosure. Also, I want the applicant to add a note to the plan that there shall be no roof gatherings, and and the roof area will be used only for emergency purposes. And there shall be no noise or lighting on the rooftop other than emergency lighting. Applicant states that there are no violations on this site. Those are my comments. Vice Chair Shibata.
Thank you, Chair. The only additional comment I have is that photo 15 shows the sale of products outside of the store.
Oh, yes.
So that's not something that we approved. Nothing further.
Thank you for bringing that. Yes, based on this, and I did see a lot of products being placed outside. And there was the ice box. It really almost made that walkway for pedestrian not walkable because it was blocking it. Commissioner Otley Brown.
I just think they should definitely remove the outdoor lift, which they said they're gonna remove, but oftentimes we ask that they be removed on other sites and they aren't removed. So I'm just bringing it out into the hearing so that they can document the fact that they will remove it by a date certain. And I think that once they build that office building, they should make sure, because I believe there are windows in the rear, that the lighting is turned off at the end of the business day, because it is higher than the fence and it will affect the homes behind it.
What if we were to make those windows opaque?
Okay.
That way
fine,
you-
So that there'll be no worry about light spill. And their existing trash enclosure is just a chain link fence. And I think since they're updating the site, perhaps they should now make a better, more sturdy trash enclosure and make it the traditional concrete block with steel doors that we ask for on these sites.
Yeah. Thank you. Commissioner Shetty?
Thank you, Chair. I'm gonna start with the pictures they submitted. On page 40 and 42 and 44, we can see plastic, either plastic or metal drums present on site. And I'm not sure if they are filled with something. Some of them appear to be like containing some hazardous material, but I'm not sure. So they need to explain to us the reasons or the reason for these drums to be on site. The second thing, if you look at page 42, what appears to be the footing of the chain link fence appears to be like totally undermined. So please confirm that these footings are structurally stable, if they are actually footings for the chain link fence. Again, I'm not sure about that, but they need to look into this because apparently the chain link fence is not connected to anything other than these footings. On the luminous spread diagram, I share your comments, Chair. It's not only just the zero values that like all over the place. Like here, all these are zeros. Here, these are zeros, and that like the things that makes me scratch my head is you have a lighting unit here, and then these are zeros. How's
Right.
that? And what is the reason for that lighting unit then?
Yeah.
It can be, even if it's shielded. If you shield it from the back, not to shed light on the back, you need to see something here. So I believe that like led me to like believe that there is like an issue with preparation of that diagram, especially I believe it's a draft, especially when you look at here and you see like some sort of like copy and paste X point X. So apparently they submitted this before finalizing. They were a rush. And amazingly, it has the seals that sign and seal on it. So please take a look at it, fix it, and resubmit it. That drawings indicate that there is a trailer that's permanent on site. Please submit pictures for this trailer and explain why it's permanently present on site. That's all what I have for now. Thank you.
I think there are two trailers. When I was looking at the photo, it seemed there were two trailers. I could be wrong. Okay. Commissioner Yoon?
Okay, the trailer in the proposed plan appears to be moving, and replacing a part of the landscape buffer. that is adjacent to the residential. So when I have a couple of questions about the trailers and the sheds. I didn't have the previously approved plans to rely on, so those need to be submitted. But when did those items, the trailers and the sheds, however many there are, show up? Because those would be included in your floor area calculations. They're not exempt from floor area. And if this is the case, then your floor area that you're enlarging.
Commissioner, so this is an interesting point you're bringing up. When I joined the board, this issue was brought up, and DOB determines these to be temporary structure and therefore not counted towards floor area,
These sheds. Okay,
and the trailers also.
all right. Well, the trailer being in the landscape bed that currently has no planting.
That's not the best place to locate it. I'll agree with you there.
Yeah, okay, let's see. Also, if the applicant can respond to the request by the community board to beautify the corner of Springfield and Union, the Union Turnpike. There are no changes shown on the latest submission. I believe they want the island at that intersection to be beautified with landscaping, and it doesn't seem like that has been changed. We are missing a lot of signage on the signage plan. There's a banner for the Thursday special. There's a few AAA approved auto repair signs. There's signs on the auto repair doors. There are again Dunkin' flags, but this time on the actual street lights, the DOT street lights, and those need to be removed. There's Monster Energy cut out next to the air pump. There's a big salted caramel cold brew banner. There's window decals on the Dunkin'. It's just, there's a lot of excess signage. I wanted to list it so that you're aware of everything that needs to be included in your signage analysis. As for the drawings, I have a few questions, and mostly my concern is that I'm not sure how thoroughly thought through some of the design decisions are, and it makes me question how permanent this proposed design is. The stairs going up have been confusing between the original submission and the current submission. If you look at the latest submission, the second floor has no dimensions and no notes. How do you access the second set of stairs up that's closest to Union Turnpike? These conflict with a generator, which appears to be at least 6 or 7 feet tall. There's currently a gate and a fence there. And so will this stairway have, will it be behind the gate and the fence, or will the gate and the fence be modified in order to go around this set of stairs? The railings on the original submission call for 3 feet. They have to be at least 3'6" for fall protection. That's also not noted on the second set of plans because there are no notes on the second floor. I need floor to floor heights on the elevation so we can understand where the top of the first, the second, and the attic floor are. There's an attic plan. Is there any proposal for using the attic floor space? Let's see. And there appears on the lumen spread diagram, just one more comment. There appears to be a wall mounted light near the generator. This shows up on photo 2, and I also saw it when I was on my site visit. That doesn't show up on the lumen spread diagram, so just one more thing to add to those comments. There's a lot of debris and material stored in your rear yard that needs to be removed. And there's a chain link sliding gate that appears to, I can't tell if it's still functional. So I'm wondering if that is proposed to be maintained, and if so, it looks like it would need to be repaired. And then, yeah, the hydraulic lift needs to be removed.
I also noticed the chain link fence along Springfield Boulevard is dented. So that also needs to be fixed. Okay,
Good. move
thank
on.
you, everybody.
Final item 14, 13292BZ, 3948 Amboy Road, Staten Island.
Okay, we received proof of initial filing and hearing notice. Committee board has approved this application. This is an application for an extension of term of a variance for a banquet hall and a commercial office building, which expired on July 19, 2024, and an extension of time to obtain a CO, which expired on October 22nd, 2023, and a waiver of board's rule. So in 1994, board had granted a variance to convert the accessory story use in a cellar to a banquet hall, then use group 9 with 30 accessory parking spaces. Post ZEO adoption, a banquet hall, which is now use group 8, is permitted use in a C1 district. So the applicant needs to confirm if that is similar for South Richmond Special District. And if this waiver is still required, that's really what I'm getting at. Also, applicant needs to clarify if GCL 35 is still applicable and its associated conditions. So a compliance chart was provided, and applicant needs to provide photos of the interior lot conditions, including landscaping, fencing, dumpster enclosure, and need to confirm if the parking is attended, because that was one of the conditions from the prior grant. Applicant needs to clarify the reason for the delay in obtaining the CO, and also need to provide a timeline for obtaining the CO. Applicant states that there are no violations on the site. Those are my comments. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I did visit the site. My question to your comments was, you stated whether the parking would be attended. Would that be only for the banquet hall use? Because the other uses are like a
As-
law firm and a,
Right.
you know,
I think it would be for the banquet.
so only
mostly.
during the times when they have an actual.
Yeah, I don't have the resolution section open, but I think that would clearly
Yeah.
state, if we go through the resolution history, I think that will help us understand why it was asked for. If I seem to recall, it was with regards to the banquet.
I have no further comment. I'm satisfied with this application.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Otley Brown?
I have no additional questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Sheta?
Thank you, Chair. Nothing further from me.
Thank you. Commissioner Yoon?
I just had a question about signage. The drawings don't show the sign locations or the sizes, and it doesn't show the signs on the ground floor windows. I think that was all I had.
So I think the applicant needs to first find out, do they need the variance for the banquet, because it's a permitted use? And if that is not readed, a lot of the conditions and other things may be moot. I mean, no, well, there is a portion of the parking, a very sliver portion of parking that is in the R3A. And that's the portion that requires the variance still. The question becomes, how do the rest of the conditions and others apply? So a little bit of homework the applicant needs to do on this one. But,
Is that it?
yeah,
This concludes the review session for March 10th, 2025.
thank
We'll
you.
resume in 10
What time
minutes?
is it? It's
11:30.
11:40, 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay,
11:50.
11:50.
That's very interesting. Why is not picking up my
Okay, members of the board, we're back. We're live. We are recording, we're streaming. Ms. Matias, you may proceed with the public hearing.
Good morning. This is the New York City Board of Standards and Appeals public hearing for March 10th, 2025. Please note for the record that Commissioner Shetter is joining us remotely. Continued hearing items on the SOC calendar, 32853 BZ, 3424 East Tremont Avenue, the Bronx. Daniel Ash.
Yep.
Excuse me. Morning, Mr. Ash. Is there anyone else with you?
Just myself.
Please raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
My name is Daniel Ash from Walter Gorman Engineering. I did get to listen to the board's review session before. I heard Commissioner Otley Brown's comments that you had seen the site on Saturday, and I was surprised and disappointed for the site because everyone that I've spoken to, from the bosses down to the dealer, including the affidavit we got, and the confirmation from the U-Haul website, was that they were not utilizing this site any longer as a U-Haul site. I'd be curious to see the photographs, because I
Yep.
even reached out after the meeting to the territory manager for the site. He said he did a spot check on them the week before just to see if they were up to anything, and he said they were not. So we'd all like to see that and figure out what's going on.
Okay.
You also have an awful lot of commercial box trucks that are like parked along the wall with the neighboring commercial lot.
I mentioned
you-
that to him as well, and he also wanted to see the photos to understand what.
It lines the lot completely.
Because it was not supposed to be part of what the dealer is using the site for.
I also sent that photo in as well, so it should be available like maybe.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know how long it takes to upload and send it. By today, definitely you'll have it. I was hoping you would have it before the hearing so that you could respond, but maybe you need more time to get back to your client to find out what's going on.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? So I unfortunately, in light of this new find, I cannot close it because that needs to be addressed. I do appreciate the effort. Any questions or comments?
Public.
Okay, let's go to the public then.
The case that we're currently discussing is 32853 BZ, 3424 East Tremont Avenue, the Bronx. Should you wish to comment on this application, please dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the webinar ID number 160-986-0460 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you will press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you will press star 9 to raise your hand, star 6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if you're in the Zoom room already and wish to participate, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. In all forums, you will have 3 minutes in which to discuss.
Oh, Commissioner Yoon, your
Oh.
camera is off.
Lo siento.
Mr. Ash, how much time will you need to resolve this issue? And you need to come up with a solution. You know, I do not know how U-Haul works. Like I did, after seeing the affidavit, I did try to call that, I did go to the U-Haul website and punched in that number,
It wasn't there.
and it does not recognize that as
Yeah.
a site. So while I don't know, while on paper, it may not be so, off the paper, don't know what's going on. And so definitely and this is a very recent site visit. When did you go?
Saturday.
This Saturday. So it was after the affidavit was submitted. So it is a little disturbing. So please do find out and let us know the process and how does U-Haul ensures that even if a site is not on the website, how is there an alternative way someone can continue to provide U-Haul's operation on their site? What are the deals and agreements and the terms? Did they sign any term, or is it a 1 2 month term? It can be reneged and it can be reissued. And what guarantee do we have that they will not go back and start taking U-Haul trucks in future?
We'll get to the bottom of it, but I think as soon as possible for the next hearing, because they would like to finish this up.
Okay.
So no one is.
Nobody called in.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody called in. I think, yeah, our Deputy General Counsel suggested a good idea. I think at your next hearing, you should have the site operator to walk us through.
Okay.
Okay.
And do the thorough investigation of how U-Haul operates and the terms and conditions U-Haul has with these kind of businesses.
Yes.
So how much time you would need? March, June? And meanwhile, by the way, while this search is going on, the U-Haul operation cannot be there. If Commissioner Otley Brown goes there and sees another U-Haul truck, that's a really bad sign. So even though you're doing the due diligence and research and all that, all these operations should cease that are not permitted.
Yes. Once I have the photos, we're going to get in touch with everybody who's involved with this site and make it clear.
Yeah.
Find out what's going on. But in terms of date, as soon as we can be scheduled, I would imagine there's no physical work to be done. So this is something that'll be resolved quickly.
So can I put you down for April 7th? That gives you 1 month.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Nothing further. Next.
And who is the project manager for this?
Carla.
Okay, Mr. Costanza, please send this these photos to Mr. Ash as soon as possible today.
Will do.
So that, okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ash.
Thank you.
Okay, next, move up.
Yes.
Item number 8, 16008BZ, 651, 671 Fountain Avenue, Brooklyn.
I see Mr. Dale. And who is the other person?
I don't see Vivian.
Hi,
Good.
Rachel
It's a
Skull, I believe is.
Yeah.
Is Rachel's?
That's
Yeah.
Okay, Rachel.
Yeah, be here.
Anyone else, Mr. Dale?
Just the two of us today.
Okay.
Is both there?
Good afternoon. Please raise your hands, your right hand, sorry. Please state your, sorry. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
Do affirm.
Again.
Please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
Hi, Todd Dale for the applicant.
And Rachel Skull with Cozen O'Connor. We represent JD and iOS.
So we did listen to the review session. I'll just speak to some of the items that were brought up quickly, the plan and submission items, and then we can get to what I believe is the largest concern of the board. First, we will add a not to scale note to the plan for the fence per Commissioner Shetta's suggestion. In response to a comment from Commissioner Yoon, we will add additional shrubs. Just to note, those shrubs in the center are designed to spread out to 8 feet, but we'll add more. And in addition to adding more shrubs, we'll add a note to the plan that says landscaping areas to be densely planted, just to supplement the additional indication of shrubs. The tough barrier link, we'll just put a new link on our next submission. Apologies, I'm not sure what happened, but I'm glad that you were able to Google and take a look at it. I would note that the plan already does indicate that the sign that's going to be posted is going to include both owner and operator information. And will also, be agreeable to that being a condition of the resolution. And it's not really a submission item, just would note, I believe it was discussed during a review session, but the tech memo was revised to have the prior hours of operation. Now, in response to what was, I believe, the most major concern that was raised during review session, we understand the board's concerns about neighborhood character and wanting to ensure the work is completed. That's very understandable. One thing that we would suggest, perhaps borrowing from a sister agency, is perhaps the board would consider adding a condition to the resolution that says prior to issue of a TCO, a letter of no objection must be obtained from the BSA confirming that fencing and landscaping has been installed pursuant to the resolution and approved plans. And what this would do is it would put the onus on the owner to reach out to the board because they couldn't get a TCO until they reached out to the board. So it takes away some of the responsibility of the board and puts that on the owner. And it also then gives the opportunity for the board to review this outside of the hearing schedule, to review information, ask for additional information, but it also leaves open the ability for the board to proceed to a hearing schedule if it needed to, either a compliance hearing or some other administrative process. But that condition, we would suggest, might help address the concerns, the understandable concerns the board has about neighborhood character, and providing an extra layer of protection, but then does put the onus on the operator. So it's not the board that has to chase down the owner. It's the owner who has to come to the board in order to get a TCO. So we would suggest that.
Sorry, go ahead, Todd.
No, that's fine. I was going to say that's one suggestion.
And if I could just add on behalf of the owner, I have spoken with them about this. They understand, or not the owner, the contract ND who will become the owner, assuming this this amendment were granted. JDN understands the history here and why that this application is getting special attention. While they hope that if this amendment is granted when they come back for renewal, they hope that you'll be very, very happy with how the site looks. They understand that extra precautions need to be taken in the meantime. They are open to the idea of obtaining a letter of substantial compliance. They understand that that would come with a restrictive declaration recorded against the property and possibly also notes on the drawing themselves, as Commissioner Sheta mentioned during review session today. They really want to do right by the board and by this community, and they are hoping that we can move forward with a way to obtain a TCO upon completion of all the neighborhood character items that the board is requiring.
So from what you're saying is that once the work is substantially done and prior to any occupancy or use of the site, you're suggesting that there's a condition we put where it comes before the board and the board then issues a no objection letter to DOB to issue a TCO. Has that been done before? I do not recall ever since I've been on the board. I'm asking if that has been done.
I don't recall.
Yes, our executive director.
Yes, Madam Chair. I mean, I'm not aware of the practice. Typically, it's just conditioned that X happens by a certain time or by the time of C of O or permit. It's a little hard to track.
Yeah, so go ahead, Vice Chair.
So if the condition is that prior to the TCO being, they'd have to ask for a letter of no objection. So
As Mr. Dale pointed, it's almost like a compliance hearing. They have to
right,
come
well,
before.
it wouldn't be a hearing, the letter of no.
The letter of
objection.
substantial
It'd be going
compliance.
through the letter of no objection process, right? It'd be more of an administrative thing. How we a compliance hearing could be a good on an additional level, but they would have to provide sufficient evidence in a letter of no objection that they have complied with all the.
So by doing that, it's not board that is reviewing it. It's a staff that is
Staff.
reviewing it. Is that something that we would be okay with? Staff reviewing it? Make,
Who's hand is a Chase
okay.
Vine? Sorry.
oh,
Council.
I don't see Council Vines. Okay, Council Vine.
I just wanted to note for the board that even if this were a condition, if the owner user failed to comply with that condition and did not submit a letter request, it would be the board again having to do the legwork to find the property owner, to find the operator, to ensure compliance, and then inspect and schedule it for compliance hearing. And our rules would allow that applicant to come in some years later, seeking a waiver of our rules to complete construction and extend the time to obtain a certificate of occupancy. So I'm not quite sure if that solution or if that suggestion resolves any of the concerns.
Sorry, go ahead.
Potentially the term would have to be coincident with the time to complete. So there would be no potential to operate the site regardless. But this is, again, we appreciate the suggestion, Mr. Dale. We can think about it some more to see what could be done.
Yeah, I was going to say the idea behind this is, often when you go to city planning, there's letter requirements like this, and actually the board, even though the board's not reviewing it, the board, for example, for general city law appeals, will say that you must modify the drainage plan and obtain approval from DEP. So it is something that's, in a similar fashion, but included in resolutions where, prior to getting a TCO for a GCL, you need to get the letter from DEP that says this is okay. And the idea behind this is that, without a TCO, you would not be able to legally occupy the site. And you can't get the TCO until you receive this level of review from the board. And the thought is that a letter would be, advantageous to the board, because if they are blown away by the work that's done, which we fully expect them to be, then they wouldn't need to go through the administrative process of a compliance hearing and adding delay, which I think might be a concern for all parties. But it still leaves open the option for a compliance hearing. So, we understand that there may be administrative issues of concern, but this is a pattern that's been used by other agencies, and it's actually been used by the board itself to require this information from other sister agencies, DEP and GCL applications. So that's the mechanic and the process that was the thought behind this suggestion.
How would it get flagged? That's what I'm trying to understand. Who would flag it?
If we went to get a TCO at DOB and DOB saw the resolution and said, well, we can't give you a TCO until you bring us this letter, that's the flag. I mean,
Sorry,
they can't issue a TCO until you have that letter.
If I could also add, I think it would be helpful to put the note on the drawings. It's something that we do when we have this similar condition at city planning, so that there are multiple places where DOB will see that this is a requirement.
Commissioner Shetta's hand is up.
Commissioner Shetta?
Thank you. I don't think we should take the role of judging whether that fence and the other elements are complete or not. I believe we should leave it to the agency who's be doing that, which is DOB. DOB should look at the site after the completion based on filing from the owner. And if they say that the elements that we believe that they are crucial to compliance with the neighborhood characters are complete, we can issue a letter of no objection. But we don't have the manpower nor the expertise in our staff to go to the site or to look at to judge from pictures that the fence, for example, is complete. We shouldn't be saying that. So I would suggest that the condition, the language that mentioned by the applicant, I'm okay with it, to be added as a condition, and in the meantime to be placed on the site plan and on the other sheets of the drawings in a very clear manner to attract the attention of the plan examiner at the DOB. And when they file for a TCO, if they file, and I don't believe they're gonna do that knowing that there is a condition, if someone does that, then it's going to be easy for the DOB to flag it and ask whether the fence, the landscape are completed or not. And that's how we make life easier for our sister agencies, but not by taking the role and judging whether the fence is complete or not, whether the landscape is complete or not. I believe we're gonna have time to do so.
Is that they would operate without a C of O and take their chances.
Without a TCFO either?
Without a TCO or a C of O. That would be my concern, and I'm not sure if it would ever appear to DOB on their radar unless either we flagged it for them that they're operating without a C of O, or somebody in the neighborhood took the time to do the research and they would flag it. So that's actually my concern. So I actually thought having it come to the BSA first and then having us issue it is worth it, because then we could ensure that they're not operating without any C of O. And I only say this because we know the tortured history of this site and that they didn't seem bound by a lot of the rules in the past. Now, I'm hoping that in the future, this new owner is going to be gung-ho to show us that they're on the right track.
I believe we can put like a in the language of the condition and the nature of the conditions that we're gonna put in the resolution and on the drawings. I believe we could tweak the language to make it like really risk for them to take a chance and operate without either a TCO or a final certificate of occupancy, by saying that if such and such happen, that would void the grant. And it's their risk. If they want to do it, be my guest. But again, we as a board, we don't want to take the responsibility of judging. Let's say we say that the fence is complete and there is something wrong with the fence. They go to the DOB and they have a bunch list and they need a year or two to complete that. And it happens. And I'm not saying that that specific applicant would do that, but it happens. Sometimes you go to the building department, there is something that you need to be fixed or adjust, and then you go fix it and it take years. If something like that happen, we're gonna be in bad shape because we said it's complete and it's not.
No,
If I might suggest, I understand what Commissioner Shedd is raising, which are valid points. Perhaps the condition could be that prior to filing for a TCO, a letter must be obtained from the BSA noting that they are satisfied with neighborhood character issues. However, structural and safety concerns must still be reviewed by DOB prior to issuing a TCO. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
That way the board has the ability to say, we're satisfied with neighborhood character, but it's not our responsibility as an agency to review structural concerns, and you still need to get the TCO through DOB.
I would go even further to put in that letter that DOB remains responsible for ensuring all code compliance, et cetera, and couch in the legal terms. But I was about to say the same thing as Todd, that we're not looking for the board to step into DOB's role, but we do want to allow the board to have the opportunity to sign off on what your concerns are.
thank you. General Counsel Vine.
Yeah, I'm happy to work offline with applicants' counsels in the spirit of crafting some language that applicant could share with the board to this end that maybe could be included in plan and if appropriate in the restrictive declaration as well. But learning from past history, we know that specifically an implementation schedule of improvements is not going to work here. So whether the board feels it's appropriate to specifically set this up for a compliance hearing outright within a specific time agreeable by the operator, that could be involved in our discussions, but maybe we should workshop some language offline.
I think, first of all, I don't think there should be a staff review. If anything, it should be a board review based on which a letter can go out to DOB. That would be one thing. So it would be a public discussion. It's almost like a compliance hearing, but not. So that could be one thing. I completely understand Commissioner Shetta's concern, and he's right, and that we are not the experts in the agencies that will be reviewing with regards to structural code, building code and other things. That is a responsibility of DOB. And so I think what Mr. Dale suggested sounds interesting, but I think devil is in the detail. And I think it would be best, I agree with Council Vine, is that why don't the councils discuss and find a solution that works, and we can keep and work towards that. And also this needs to be all reflected in the restrictive deck. And and all of these need to be tied up. So even if it gets lost somewhere, it's there in the restrictive deck, and we are going to hold operator, owner, and the liable for any misuse or not compliance of the site.
I just want to say that the statement that we would make a determination as to whether the character finding was met at a later date didn't serve us very well, because we tried to do that the
That is true.
previous time and it blew up in our face. So I don't see that that would be a good solution in this case.
That's a good reminder. Yes, that's how all this thing started. Yeah.
Understood. Just so the board understands that the general approach we're taking here is we're trying to work with whatever the board
And I
needs
completely.
and wants. Yeah. So we're trying to work with and not against.
Yes, and Mr. Dale, I do want to thank you. You've been very, very willing to listen to our concerns and address it and bring in a good team player who understands the concern and wants to improve the concern. So I'm fully appreciative of that. But going forward, we want to make sure in future, we do not get into the same pickle that we started off 3 years ago. Burnt once don't want to be burnt twice. And I don't think it will happen, but, we also, as you know, precedents are set, and we want to make sure this particular case, we are very careful so that future boards are very careful about how to deal with this case or similar cases.
Understood.
Okay, but I do encourage both of you to discuss this with General Vine, Council Vine, and find a solution that would work. Okay,
Carlo?
Mr. Costanza.
Yeah, no, thank you, Madam Chair. I think you kind of touched upon what I was going to say, and I second General Counsel Vine's suggestion that we discuss, look at all the mechanisms that are going to be put in place, such as conditions, notes on plans, and a declaration, whatever is decided, and put as much clarity as needed that everyone agrees to.
Yeah. Great. So are there any questions or comments?
I just had a small comment on the landscaping, beyond a note, just if you could have your architect actually represent to scale the proposed planting and have it actually be dense. Because, if it's 8 feet, if there's shrubs in the center that are spaced at 8 feet across an 80-foot wide planting bed and you have 3 of them, it's still going to be quite sparse. So just make it easier, do it to scale, have your architect actually draw the thing at 8 feet and at 4 feet and space it accordingly.
Okay, good call.
So noted.
Anything?
All right, let's go to the public. Yeah.
Okay, the case that we're currently discussing is 160-08 BZ, 651-671 Fountain Avenue, Brooklyn. Should you wish to discuss, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the Weber ID number 160-986-0460 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt after that, you'll press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you'll press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you were calling in the phone. And if you're in the Zoom room already and wish to raise your Zoom hand, it's the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. And if, with all forums, please note that you will have 3 minutes in which to discuss.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, my suggestion will be to close it because I think this drawings and everything, except for minor notes that Commissioner Yoon, suggestions that Commissioner Yoon made and Commissioner Sheta, those corrections can be made. But the biggest issue is, I think now requires work on the restrictive deck, what goes into restrictive deck. I really want the restrictive deck to be very comprehensive. It speaks to every conditions and responsibility, tasks that need to be completed before maybe a timeline can be put there. But I'm just throwing it out there, and this is really something our council have to work out. And I think once we have the draft restrictive deck, we can then schedule it for the decision. And at that time, as part of the draft restrictive deck, the plans can be submitted.
Understood, yeah. We can work on the restrictive declaration and also what form or the note on the plan and resolution will take, once we talk offline.
Yeah.
And as you noted, Chair, the other plan items, we should be able to get done within a week. So they're not going to take long.
Yeah, I don't think the plans will take that long. It's a restrictive deck. And I really want this to be very thorough. I don't want this to be a very generic one. It needs to be very specific to this site and the issues that you have been debating and laboring over for the last so many years.
Understood. We have plenty of examples.
Okay. All right. Then motion to close.
Chair Shonda,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shabeta,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Yoon.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And Chase and Carlo, we'll talk soon.
Yeah, and we will schedule I didn't specify a time because I think you need to talk amongst yourself and then we'll figure it out. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Calla.
Item number 9, 6213 BZ, 2703 East Tremont Avenue, the Bronx.
Okay.
Neil
Would
Alexander.
be Neil, okay. Yes, I've added him as a panelist. Huh, that's all. Okay.
Is my camera still on?
Is Mr. Alexander in the room?
Yeah.
I'm just adjusting, sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Was there anyone with you, Mr. Alexander?
Yes, Andrew Tuck is with me as well.
Who?
Not that- Andrew,
CH?
yes,
He didn't
Yes.
raise his hand. That's
Yeah.
why we didn't.
Andrew Tuck.
he's general counsel for New York Bacon.
Okay.
Okay. Please unmute Mr. Tuck.
Yes,
Okay, raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do. Yes,
Okay. Ms. Suggs, please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
sure. Good afternoon. It's Neil Alexander, a partner at Cuddy and Fader, here with Andrew Tuck from New York Bacon. It's good to be with you again. Chairwoman, members of the BSA, as well as Executive Director Costanza and Deputy Director Matthias. So we've worked pretty hard, and we heard your comments from the earlier session. Essentially, we're copacetic with adding those notes relative to landscaping and lighting, as updating the plans and also the signage. If to the extent you want us to get into the weeds really quickly right now, we could. And just to clarify, we have two facade signs out there. One, and as Chairwoman pointed out, we have three frontages out there, and then our third frontage, our fourth side actually is up against the bank parking area. So on Williamsbridge Road, that is where the pylon sign is. Each side of the pylon sign is about 56.50 square feet. So adding it together is how you get that 113. That is the only signage on that frontage, and that is non-illuminated. So it's less than the 150 square feet allowed in this C, I just lost it, C6, C1-2 district. Relative to our two other frontages, we have a facade sign facing both St. Raymond and also East Tremont. One facade sign for each of those frontages. Each one of those signs is about 32.25 square feet, which is how you got that 64.5 on the form that you saw. So we believe we're fully compliant from that perspective. As Chairwoman, you noted, the drawing now shows the 10 cars in stacking, and we appreciate the latitude to work on some shade tolerant. You know, you read the information that we submitted on the landscaping very well and harmonized it exactly as we had hoped you would. So we're appreciative of that, which is we're willing to go out there and plant. And as Commissioner Otley Brown noted when she was out there, you know, everything's thriving. It's just 40-year-old. You know, the main planting in each of those beds is 40 years old, and it creates a drip line and a root line. And so we'll go out there and we'll put what we can. We were just sort of flagging with the landscaper that we have some concerns as to duration, but we'll keep doing it as we need to do it to keep it healthy out there. And we appreciate the latitude to sort of try the species that worked before, but if those don't work, is on the next go round to go to more shade tolerant. So and then as I think was pointed out, the street lighting on those streets is it's city stanchions. They're very tall, and their sodium is my best guess. So the amount of light that they're throwing out is really what's on that lumen plan. Especially if you notice, we just have wall packs. Literally, our drive, we have wall packs on the facade of our building. That's our only lighting. So if you look at it within like 5 feet, we're at 0 foot candles. It's coming from, candidly, the city's lighting splashing off onto our property and from the sidewalk. And it's also coming from, as you know, federal ATM law as to bank lighting for ATMs. So that's really what's coming onto our site. And if you look at the lumen plan from 2019, you'll see that our core of our site is almost at 0 by the time you get to our parking. It's the high foot candles are coming from offsite onto our site. So I hope that addresses your concerns. We have no problem putting those notes on. You know, our hope is, assuming that there's no one from the public who's going to express current concerns, is that we could be moved to decision and just put the appropriate notes on the plans and have that done before we get a new CO issued.
Okay. So thank you for that explanation, Mr. Alexander. For the lumen count, we are not going to accept the previously approved lumen plan. And as I mentioned, I don't think, and in light of what you reaffirmed, is that I don't think we need a lumen plan for this site, given that it has 3 street frontages and most of the light source is the city light source, and the rest is wall mounted light structures that you have. So I would say don't need to submit a lumen plan, but add a note to the plan saying that lights from the site will be, I think we'll provide you with the
Standard
language.
note.
We have a standard note. I don't want to say something wrong. Ms. Matias will send you the standard note that should be added to the plan set.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Now, with regards to the signage, I think what was submitted, I completely read it wrong because I thought that that signage was meant for the 2 street frontages and not the pylon. So what you're saying, the pylon sign is 113 square foot.
Correct. It's non-illuminated as well. So that's why we, yeah.
So check that because somewhere in your submission, it seemed to indicate it was illuminated.
What's interesting is we checked it. We gave you photos. It's getting the bounce, believe it or not, off of the streetlights.
That's fine, but it's not illuminated. That's
It's not. It's not. I think at one times between 1985 and 2000, it may have the fixtures were there, but they've burned out, and we have not replaced them. So it's not illuminated. So
Yeah, I just somewhere in the submission, that's where it says it's illuminated. So
Yeah.
that's where, I think then that needs to be corrected to indicate that it's not a illuminated signage. In the
Okay.
signage chart itself that it was submitted, it calls it illuminated, and it's not. So I think that needs to be corrected. That's a must. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
So Commissioner Yoon said something about elevations.
Oh, yes, Commissioner Yoon, you had a question?
Question, but
Oh, just that on the elevations, you should indicate the area of each sign when you complete the signage analysis, so that we can understand which signs you're talking about and how big they are.
Yeah, so typically what happens and wherever you have the sign, just provide a dimension and just number each sign. And then that way we know that for each sign, the total square footage, like for example, the East Tremont sign is 34 square foot. The Raymond sign is 34 square foot and both of them are non-illuminated. And the total comes up to that. Same thing, the pylon.
Yeah, we had done it for the pylon. I see what you're saying on the two elevation sheets, A3 and A4. We didn't do it for the two facade mounted signs on the west and the south. It's there for the pylon, but it's not for the other two. We'll gladly do that. No problem.
good.
And then add a note to the plan. Again, Ms. Matias will send you the standard language that BSA is not waiving any signage requirement. It shall be reviewed and approved by DOB. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Any other clarification that you need? Mr. Alexander, is there anything?
I am good, and I think Andrew's good as well.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Let's go to the public then.
Sure. The case that we're currently discussing is 6213 BZ 2703 East Tremont Avenue, the Bronx. Should you wish to discuss, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll press the webinar ID number 160-986-0460 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you'll press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you will press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if in the Zoom room already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you are recognized, you'll have 3 minutes in which to comment on this application.
How much time will you need, Mr. Alexander, to revise these? I'm going to suggest that we close it and keep the record open for you to revise the plan with all the notes, the sign chart. Yeah. I think those
Yeah,
are the-
I think once we get those standard notes, I think, we can do it very quickly. I don't want to put pressure on staff. We've been incredibly, I must add, for the record, helpful in facilitating us being able to move forward here. They've really,
Yes,
I don't want to say above and beyond because I have a feeling they do it for everybody, but we feel like they went above and beyond.
Thank you.
But we do have a very good team and Miss Matias goes beyond our standards.
Should we be waiting to vote it out until we see proof of the landscaping in place? Since
We can
it's
close-
planting season?
we
No,
can-
we'll close it, I mean, but wait. for-
Whether the landscaping.
What is the planting season? It's kind of coming up on now. But I'm going to leave it to you. I mean, I strongly would suggest that you do get the landscaping plan in place. And I would say, talk to your landscaping contractor and landscaper as to what kind of plant can go in and when do you plan to. So in your submission, do provide a letter stating when you plan to do the landscaping and what all you will be putting there. This will give the board the assurance that you have looked into it, and upon vote, when the weather gets better, I think it's like the planting season is April onwards, then you have it ready and you can just start with the planting.
We're looking forward to seeing the buds on the trees for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, no, the reason Commissioner Otley Brown raised a very good point. I mean, I have noticed where you have these sparse planting, it ends up becoming a place for pedestrians to walk through, and it becomes a cow path or a pet path in this case. And then it becomes a little bit of a nuisance for your vehicles that are parked there, or that you're trying to control the flow of the vehicles through the site. So having these landscaping, which is not only a beautification, but it is also a way to control.
Right. We want to, especially with the pedestrian vehicular interaction with three frontages. We're completely with you.
Yeah. So please keep that in mind as to why we are pushing you in that direction. Okay.
No one's called in and raised their hand.
Nobody has called in. So I'm going to make a recommendation that we close, and let's set this for April vote. That'll give you plenty of time to get all the corrections in place, and also the letter from your contractor, landscape person.
Yes.
April 7th is the decision.
So the vote, Chair Shonda?
Yes. To close? Yes.
Yes. Vice Chair Shabeta?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta?
Aye.
Commissioner Hume?
Aye.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Take care now.
New cases, item number 10, 53232 BZ 3102 Astoria Boulevard, Queens.
This would be Nasu. Anybody else from your team, Mr. Gonzaga?
Yes, Mike and
No, it's him.
Oh,
Hi, good afternoon. My name is May Abdurrahim. I'll be representing Mr. Nazir. He's
Can you-
actually,
can you,
Sorry?
can you spell out your name first?
it's the first name is Mayy. Last name is ABDELRAHIM.
HIM?
H as in hat, I as in ice, and M as in Mary.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to apologize. Sorry.
Saying your recording is kind of muffling a little bit, so
Is it better when I get closer to it?
this is better.
Okay. I do apologize for Mr. Nazir not being
I'm so-
here today.
I have to sway you in.
Okay. Sorry.
Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board, and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments at review session.
May Abdurrahim.
Can I change?
Hmm?
Go ahead.
What happened?
You
Okay.
make,
Go ahead.
So, I was taking notes, notes for according to you guys' question and objections, regarding the area. As you guys know, it's a very popular area and busy area as well. Um, I obviously do need to have a little bit more time to discuss it with Mr. Nazir once he gets better and get back to the office. And I would like to speak to the owner as well regarding what we're proposing. Regarding the third display, the proposal display that we're proposing, as you guys said, that the site itself is pretty cramped. And you guys believe that one of the display dispenser won't fit on the site. However, I do believe it will fit on the site just because looking at the dimension, it said 19 feet from the center of each dispenser on page BSA 4. But
So
again, sorry.
pull up the drawings. I want to be able to go through it with you. No, I'm not able to find it. Why? Why am I not able to find this? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Sorry, I was looking
No,
at.
it's okay.
You can share the drawings if you want to and walk us through it as to how you believe this would work. There is feature. So I'm going to go to drawing number 10. That's the maneuverability plan. And there aren't any dimensions, so it's very difficult for us to gauge what you're saying, but please go ahead and walk.
I'll be sharing my screen in 1 second. Let me know if you guys could see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was talking about this dimension. So from this from the first one and the second one is 19 feet from the center, and the third one and the second one is also 19 feet, and I feel like that's enough space. However, I do agree that we definitely need to get like a traffic analysis to approve it even more and demonstrate how the circulation on the site could work with the third dispenser. If not, if it doesn't work, we still would like to reduce the building though, to give more space.
Go ahead.
If you pull up the actual circulation plan, because it shows the cars moving, and that will highlight some of the issues that were raised about the 3 islands and the parking spaces and the ability of the cars to make it through and then make that sharp turn onto Astoria Boulevard to leave.
I think it's
Towards the end.
There it is. Can you?
If you can zoom in, that would be helpful. So I think the concern is, first of all, the car that has been used for this analysis is sedan. And by and large, most of the vehicles that are used today are SUVs. SUV dimensions are bigger than sedans. So you have to use SUV as a maneuverability because that's your typical vehicle now. Now, as we are looking at it, I think the concern we all had was that first of all, we see only 3 parking spaces that are indicated on the site. And all of these parking spaces are going to be affected by the vehicles going to the gasoline pumps. And at no point can that ADA vehicle that is going to be parked there, nobody will be able to open the door to even get out, because there is no buffer between the 2 spaces. Then that when the vehicle, the vehicle that is at the third pump. That turn, impossible. I mean, the SUV is a stretch. I mean, the sedan is a stretch. SUV will be impossible because that corner, the distance of that corner is less than what the vehicular width is. So while numerically that 19-foot on center, the requirement between each pump, while that may work, it does not work beyond that. And that is why we all have uniformly expressed concern about the viability of a 3-pump solution. I think what you're suggesting I like, which is A, reduce the size of the building and provide the required parking, but maintain 2 pumps. And if it requires relocating the pumps in a way where you do provide a better flow of vehicles without blocking the pedestrian, without blocking the parking spaces, I think that is the best solution for this site, because even currently the site is tight and it's cramped and vehicles do end up misusing and use the sidewalk.
Not
I
to mention,
100% agree.
you can't go directly up to that lot line at the top because that's where you have your pylon sign, your air machine, you have a clothing machine, drop box, you have a bunch of things over there on a raised island that sticks out from that wall. So you don't even have the space that you think you have when you look at that.
Unless they're proposing to tear that down. But yeah, it's not clear if you're planning to tear that raised platform. And the other part is, where will the air pump be? Given this flow, where would the air pump be?
So there's a lot of things that we need to revise in our upcoming plan. And next hearing, we would like to revise first of all, we would like to revise the air pump from figuring out where the location is going to be. And that's something that we have to discuss with the owner, Mr. Nazir. Also, the lighting has to be revised, the dumpster, the curb cut, the parking space as well need to be revised. One of the things that we're concerning is actually relocating a few stuff on the site. But however, before we moving forward, I would like to discuss it with the owner, Mr. Nazir, when he gets back.
Yeah. Yeah, and also the floor, the lot size, it's
Yes,
different all everywhere, and that lot size
exactly.
will be critical because that is required for your TPPN analysis.
Yeah, and we will revise for the lot size and the rest of the stuff. We will revise the documents and also the plans as well coming along.
Okay. So I think you need a lot of time to do this. And do talk to your your client and propose something that is going to work, because I do not want this to be a proposal what looks good on drawing but operationally does not work, and then we are back to square one. I think the building needs to be scaled back even more to the extent possible to allow for more maneuverability, even under the current condition. But I'll leave that up to you as to how you come to that. Any other questions? Okay, let's go to the public then. And you did not go to the community board, did you, on this?
I did actually. I did represent Mr. Nazir over there.
Okay.
I did reach out to them, so they were supposed to send me a community board.
Okay.
Come.
And I spoke to my team and they told me that the reason they haven't responded back is because the reschedule they have done, and they will they will submit it during our next hearing as well.
Okay. Thank you.
The case we're currently discussing is 53232BZ 3102 Astoria Boulevard, Queens. Should you wish to comment on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the webinar ID number 160-986-0460 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you will press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you'll press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if you're in the Zoom room already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you're recognized, we'll have 3 minutes in which to discuss.
Okay, how much time do you think you will need to make your next submission?
Oh, I actually spoke to Mr. Nazir today. I hope he gets better by this week. Eventually, we probably would need like 2 months at least.
2 months, so
Yeah.
5th,
Yes, that's fine.
because the submission is April 17th. Or we
That'll
can
be fine.
pick a date. We can pick a later date, May 19th, that has a submission date of May 1st. Maybe let's do May 19th. That gives-
I believe, okay, that will be fine as well. Like, I believe me and the team actually are currently working on it, so 2 months will be perfectly fine.
Yeah, and give Mr. Kanzada our best. Hope he recovers and hope to see
Thank
him
you.
soon.
Thank you, thank you.
Coming up. Almost done.
Yeah.
Still in here.
Get me started.
Okay. So that's good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next case, item 11-88754BZ, 21801 Northern Boulevard, Queens.
This would be Hiram.
Yeah, it's Mr. Rothberg.
I let him jump.
Right. There we go.
It's a time. Hi, Mr. Rothberg. Is there anyone with you, Hiram, Mr.
No,
Rothberg?
just me for today.
Let me raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Okay, please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments.
Hiram Rothberg for Vassalotti Associates. Good morning, everyone. We listened to executive session and I appreciated hearing the comments about our Northern Boulevard station that the board found it, or that Commissioner Yoon drove by it and really appreciated the landscaping and the maintenance of the site. I will change the statement of fact. I will revise my statement of facts to include the block and lot and also change special permit to variance. I was also able to send to the board a DOB printout with the notice of no violations on the site, which I'll formally submit after with my next submission to the board. Otherwise,
Just one thing. So I don't have to keep reminding you, cover letters, please.
yes, well, you know what, Tony, I didn't want to submit a cover letter because I had other things that I'm going to be putting into the cover letter. So, but I do appreciate your note. Thank you.
Yeah, because when you make that submission, like you did the other day, there was no cover letter and I have to keep, it gets confusing.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So otherwise, that's no other comments.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Let's go to the public.
So the case that we're currently discussing is 88754BZ 2018-01 Northern Boulevard, Queens. Should you wish to comment, dial 669-254-5252. Enter the web, at the prompt, you'll enter the web ID number 160-986-0460. Press pound. At the next prompt, you'll press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you'll press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you are calling in on the phone. And if you're in the Zoom room already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you're recognized, you'll have 3 minutes in which to discuss. How much time do you need, Mr. Rothberg?
I can have everything in later today by the end of the day if need be.
Okay, we can just bring up the schedule. What's our March calendar? Right. We'll schedule this for the March hearing.
Close.
Yes, I do want to close this, but please do submit a cover letter with everything spelled out as to what was asked and what you've submitted. It just makes our review very quick and thorough, and it's a good way of record keeping for us to know what was submitted.
Absolutely.
So make a recommendation to close.
Wait, finish it.
Oh, no, not yet.
Now we're finished.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Close, make a recommendation to close.
Chair Shanda,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shabeta,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Yoon.
Aye.
Okay, item number 12, 80855 BZ, 3504 Bell Boulevard, Queens. Just raise your hand again, Mr. Rothkrug. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Okay, please state your name for the record and proceed to respond to the board's comments.
Hiram Rothberg for Vassalotti Associates. Again, we attended executive session this morning. We did forward again a Department of Buildings printout to the board showing that the site does not have any violations on it, and we'll be formally submitting that with a cover letter moving forward. Additionally, we will take down the excess signage from the Dunkin' Donuts, the signage in the Dunkin' Donuts portion of the building and on the signposts, so that we're in compliance with the underlying C2 zoning district. And I'll also get a letter from BP stating that that everything is in accordance with the operational plan for the site. Most of which conditions are located in the last resolution from the board. I think that covers everything.
Oh, no, lumen. There was a question of the lumen. You need to confirm if the lumen level is consistent with the plan. Because I think if let me go to the plan. Unless somebody can go to it quickly.
This one's on.
I'm looking for the proof. Yeah,
I know there were various conditions about the lighting. For instance, there was a light removed from the vacuum area adjacent to the next door building. And there were also conditions about having light pointed down and away from all adjoining residential buildings, all of which I believe were taken care of.
So you need to then provide a statement and photographs to ensure that it is meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
And the revised statement of facts also.
Yes, and revise the statement of facts. Yes, of course.
Yeah, he will provide a violation.
So maybe I could have everything for the board in maybe 2 weeks.
Right, so let's schedule this for April. This will not work for the March submission, so let's schedule this for April. And you also need to provide photos of the removed sign. Advise a statement of fact and. Okay. All right, so this will be for April. Is the board okay with closing this? Okay,
You want to close this?
yeah.
Motion to close. Oh, we gotta do the public. Uy,
Oh, we have to go to public.
thank you, council. Okay, we gotta do thank you, Angela. The case we're currently discussing is 808-55 BZ 3504 Bell Boulevard, Queens. If you wish to comment, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the Weber ID number 160-986-0460 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you'll press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you'll press star 9 to raise your hand, star 6 to unmute as you're calling in on the phone. And if you're in the Zoom room already and wish to participate, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you are recognized, you'll have 3 minutes in which to discuss.
Okay. So this is, I'm going to make a motion to close and record is open for you to make all the submissions that we discussed. And we'll schedule this for April.
Excellent, thank you.
Chair Shonda,
Aye.
Vice Chair Shabeta,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Yoon.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Rothberg.
Thank you.
Item number 136891 BZ 22315 Union Turnpike, Queens.
This also would be
You mean Mr.
somebody from
Gonzaga's
Gonzaga's office, but I think it is.
The
Is it
young lady
Rafiq
that was
Kalam?
before. Yeah.
It's Rafiq Kalam,
Yeah, I think it's the same person as
but I don't see that name here.
that was the same.
Oh, okay, okay. Please turn on your camera
And unmute.
and unmute.
Hi again.
Hey, guys.
Raise your right hand. I have to swear you in. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do.
Please state your name again for the record and please proceed to respond to board's comments at review session.
My name is May Abdurrahim. Before I start talking about the site, I would like to thank you all for hearing me for the second time. Actually, the site is it's the same owner for the first site as well. So it will be like much easier to communicate with him regarding both of the site. As we're only proposing the second floor only, and sorry, I'm just like, as I heard you guys, discussion and question regarding the site, we'll be revising the plan also and changing a few things, on the site, relocating, for example, the stairs, because I do believe also I do agree that the generator is actually high and it cannot be located under the stair unless we move the stair over away from the generator. And that's one of the things that I would like to speak to Mr. Nazir about. Also, I looked at the photos, for example, the photos that you guys discussed, number 15, 40, 42, and 44. I will have to speak to the owner to move everything from the site, from outside, and bring it back inside the site. And also the trailer and the shed, I have spoken to the owner before about it, and also looking at inside this trailer and shed, I will provide a photo. There's like a big package of filing. The reason why he's proposing a second floor and having an office there is because he has more than one gas station, and he would like to keep all the filing. He would like to keep all his filing on his site on the second floor, and later on in the future, he will be removing the trailer and shed. But for now, we're just proposing that as like storage for his paperwork.
Wow.
And we will be revising the lighting and also the parking. And also we will propose a new fence because as you guys spoke, that it's not stable enough. And that's all I have for now.
What about the trash enclosure? Since you will be making improvements to the site, I think this would be a good time to change a chain link fence trash enclosure to a
Exactly.
mason.
Yes, as I saw the photo, the fence is not stable enough, and that's one of the fence that must be changed and proposed, and also the trash enclosure as well.
And the outdoor lift,
Sorry?
the outdoor lift.
I will discuss it with Mr. Nazir and we will
I'm sorry, there is no discussion. There is no work that is permitted outside the structure. So the lift has to be removed.
Yeah. We already spoke to the owner and I will, and according to one of my team, he was saying that he spoke to the owner and the owner said that he will move out in April.
Okay. So Commissioner Yoon pointed out some critical things. The second floor, you need to provide dimensions. The plan, elevation. I think you also had a question about the attic.
Yeah.
And all the notes that we don't want any social gatherings or anything to happen on the rooftop of the second floor.
I agree.
Right, and also make the windows opaque, that is facing the residential front. Any other notes or comments? No. All right. Let's go to any other questions or comments? We can go, then let's go to the public then. Also, I would say, actually, before we, there are currently 2 tool sheds, and based on your plans and photos, it seems there are 2 trailers. So you need to minimize. You have to minimize the number of trailers and tool sheds that's there. So you said one of the trailers will be eliminated once the second floor is built and all the files are removed from there. There are still 2 tool sheds, and then there's another trailer that is painted yellow. There's the red painted tool trailer, and there's a yellow painted trailer. So there are 2 I saw in the photos.
Right.
And then there are 2 tool sheds. So those need to be revised, minimize the amount of these temporary structures that are there in the rear line.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go to the public. I'm sorry.
The case that we're currently discussing is 6891BZ, 223-15 Union Turnpike, Queens. Should you wish to comment on this application, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the webinar ID number 16098604660 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you will press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you will press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute as you are calling in on the phone. And if you're in the Zoom room already and wish to participate, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hands at the bottom of your computer screen. Once you're recognized, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
How much time will you need to make these corrections?
2 months, same exact, since the same owner and
Okay,
same people that I'll be discussing with.
okay.
You should note that it's the same one.
And please listen to the hearing because Commissioner Yoon asked for a lot of information. So those need to be responded to also.
Sure, I will definitely repeat the hearing and answer every each of them for
Yes.
our next hearing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, so no one raised their hands or called in.
Yeah, nobody raised.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 14, 13292BZ, 3948 Amboy Road, Staten Island.
I think I've just let Elise in. Is there anyone else from your team?
No, just me today.
Okay.
Raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony for this board, and to respond honestly to board member questions?
I do. Thank you so much. Elise Fullader from Eric Polanic PC. We listened to your comments this morning and I spoke with the architect and I will go through them. So first, I can share my screen if you think it would be helpful, but we believe that because the parking, it's attended, but the attended parking area, we use every square footage of it for the attended parking, and it goes beyond, the R3X portion goes beyond 25 feet from the C1 district. We believe that we would still need this variance because a small portion of the parking area is still part of this and is attended parking for the commercial.
Okay. Can you do me a favor? I think in your next submission, please indicate the boundary because it was not clear and I was reading it from the zoning map and trying to.
Yeah.
That would be helpful and explain why it would not be.
And I think it's only for literally like 20 or 30 feet of a part of a triangle, but we'll show.
Right.
It's more than that when I was looking at it.
Is it?
Because it's a trapezoid and one side is 176 feet long and the other side is 30 feet long, but the overlay is only 100 feet, the commercial overlay.
Oh, so even more. But I guess I'm saying past the 25 feet, it has another whatever amount of feet. Like you're saying, I'm agreeing with you. It needs it.
Nearly, not half the site, but like 40 or 35% of the site is in the R2.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
And then With the
Yeah.
GCL, Amboy Road does have a widening line and it was built with that GCL, so the GCL still stands. And we've come to your board with other Amboy Road commercial properties. It's similar to the.
So you may not need the, you may not need the variance for the banquet, but you would need the parking waiver.
Yeah,
Okay, so do need to clarify that and explain.
but isn't that come as a package that they got the parking as part of the,
No, the banquet, now in this case, the banquet is an as of right use,
okay.
right?
We can clarify that, but I guess what I'm saying is it an amendment in any, I'm just procedurally, we still have.
I
Carl
would,
raising his hand.
it is Mr. Costanza has raised his hand to speak.
Yeah, hi, Elise. Madam Chair. Yeah, I'll take a look with Elise like offline, but I mean, this could be the opportunity to just, it is amending the site because it's kind of a sort of relinquishing, well, not a relinquishing, but it's a most of the variance, the use variance here is rendered moot, if I'm understanding correctly, but what remains is the parking, right, which is non-conforming in the residential district.
Yes,
So, this is, and again, I know this was a termed variance, right? And this is
Yeah.
a post-1961 variance?
Sorry, I have to look at the calendar number. 92, yeah.
Yeah, so again, I don't want to speak for the board, but if you're requesting maybe no term or, something to that effect, we can talk about it, and again, how you want to proceed procedurally.
Okay.
We can figure it out together.
Okay, so I guess the next step is I'll speak to Carla offline about how procedurally, and we'll make sure to show the area that is left of the parking lot that is within the R district.
Right.
And that would be the only remaining portion of this variance. Otherwise, your building is conforming now.
Yeah.
And lawfully, if there's any non-compliances, I'm assuming it could be just lawfully non-compliant. We'll look at the sections and figure
Okay.
out the statement.
Yeah,
Um,
because the building seemed to have 1985 it was to legalize an enlargement of a building in the mapped street bed. And then yeah, that's the 1985 is where the enlargement was. And that was within the bed of
Yeah, so that's in the front, not in the back where the R district is.
right. It was in the bed of the map street, the portion where the building was destroyed by fire.
Yeah.
So you're not looking at anything that's in the back of the building. So everything seems to be more with the GCL 35, and it's only the parking is now the waiver.
Correct.
So I think it simplifies your case.
Okay, well, that's good.
I-
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
then the
I'm
next-
sorry, Ms. Folder. And again, we'll discuss this, but yeah, I think just echoing what the chair just raised, again, let's just figure out exactly what the grant was in 1985 and what was there and what was already complying or conforming, and we'll figure out what the path forward is then.
Okay. No problem.
And you can provide, we need photos of the interior lot
That was
condition.
the next, item as I was gonna say. That's the parking lot, right? You want to see photos, so we can get that, no problem. And then your next question was about the delay in obtaining a C of O. So what happened was DP did work in the back and it took a long time to complete. It was something with the sewer line, so they couldn't get an updated C of O. But that work is complete and they're ready to get a new C of O, and we can provide a timeline.
Yeah.
And then I didn't fully understand, so I might apologies, Commissioner Yoon, about what you were asking about at the sign. I looked, there was decals in the windows, but I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to.
I think that is what I was referring to. Do window decals count as signage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because we've had these decals for like, I looked at photographs forever and it's never come up before. So we weren't really sure how to address that. And everyone on the block has decals on their windows as well.
I mean, if they count as signage, then shouldn't they just be part of your signage analysis?
Okay, I'm just saying, we can look and I don't know if it's compliant with the 150 feet or not, or any of that, but they've been.
Since it's a corner lot and it is, I think the way the zoning works, you're allowed 150 square foot per each frontage. It's a 200-foot frontage, so you have 100 by 100 on one side and 100 by 100 on the other side. And then it's also 150 square foot per use.
Okay. So we can update our signage analysis.
Yeah.
And then it on the plans as well. And then did you ask another question that I missed? Or was that
I
some
think they're just
elevations?
drawings don't show the sign location or the size. They don't show the signs on the ground floor windows. I think
Okay.
that's.
You can pick that up in the elevation.
Yep.
If, is that okay, Commissioner Yoon?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Go to the public. Yeah. Yeah. Bella? Oh, I'm waiting for Joel's screen. The case we're currently discussing is 13292 BZ, 3948 Amber Road, Staten Island. Should you wish to comment, dial 669-254-5252. At the prompt, you'll enter the Weber ID number 160-986-0460 and press the pound sign. At the next prompt, you'll press the pound sign only. Once you're permitted in, you'll press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute if you're calling in on the phone. And if in the Zoom room already, please raise your Zoom hand, which is the little hand on the bottom of your computer screen. Once you are permitted in, you will have 3 minutes in which to discuss. Most people don't realize their voice carries. Jesus God. Yeah, yeah. Okay, no one raised their hands, no one called in. I forgot to ask you, how much time will you need?
Well, I guess it depends how you want to do this, but I guess we won't need that long after I have a conversation with Carlo deciding how we want to handle it procedurally. So I guess give us at least 2 weeks to just, and whatever works for your calendar, to just discuss how we should be dealing with this procedurally.
Let's then schedule it for April.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. We can't close it because we need to resolve the technicality.
Understood.
Okay, thank you.
For the 2 people that are left in the room, if you didn't hear your case today, there is a calendar tomorrow, and those 2 cases are on 11th Street in Queens and Edgewater, if that was one of the cases that you were looking for, in Front Street. If those are the cases you were looking for, they are on the calendar for tomorrow. Thank you. This concludes the public hearing for March 10th, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Why can't I? Okay, there we go. Keep your mics off.